This chubby young man is Sang-gu. He is curious about everything in life. Why bother eating and sleeping when you can play games, drink, date, and travel? He wished he had two bodies to do things for himself, and that became reality. He is living in a world of hunters, many hunters with special abilities. To gain powers, you must join the awakening program managed by the government to help people awaken their abilities. You have to step through the gate to advance the development process. The main guy eagerly stood in line to go through the gate. After stepping through, he gained the ability to clone himself. He is currently only level 1. He can create one clone identical to the user by using energy. The maximum number of clones depends on the user's level. The original is connected to the clone. The current number of clones that can be summoned simultaneously is 1. The cooldown time is 24 hours. Sang-gu did it right. Theoretically, he closed his eyes, imagined for a bit, and successfully created another clone exactly like himself. Sang-gu looked at the naked, chubby guy standing in front of him. He awkwardly asked if it was a clone. Could he touch it? The clone didn't react. It called the owner promptly. Sang-gu suddenly felt shy and embarrassed. Then he slapped himself awake and started examining and touching his clone. He marveled that this was a flesh-and-blood body, not an illusion. Sang-gu looked at the clone's genitals again. He told it to put on clothes first. After dressing, the two stood facing each other. He thought the clone should sit down. Immediately it sat. Sang-gu found it amusing without saying a word. The clone seemed to listen. He thought the clone should stand up. The clone did it again. Then Sang-gu told it to repeat sitting and standing. After a few reps, he was panting like a buffalo. Seems like this clone's stamina was just like his. After a while of sitting and standing, suddenly, a notification appeared. Sang-gu's stamina increased by 0.01. His clone was running frantically in the park. It ran back and forth around the park dozens of times every day. The clone sat on a bench, panting. A kind older lady approached with water, but the clone ignored her. It brushed her off and kept running. The lady sighed. "Is this guy a pervert?" Sang-gu stood on the scale. His current weight was 78.4. Lately he felt hungry and ate twice as much as before, but this month he still managed to lose 20 pounds. He did nothing, yet his body kept getting thinner day by day. Also, he seemed to have grown a bit taller. The system stats panel popped up again. His endurance and reflexes increased slightly. Sang-gu sat back down. He discovered a few things while observing the first clone. He didn't suffer the pain or exhaustion that the clones had to endure. Second clones only disappear if injured or if their energy exceeds the threshold limit. Third, whenever his body changed, the clones immediately copied his new appearance exactly. Fourth, even when far away, he could command the clones just by thinking silently in his head. And finally, clones cannot create clones. Sang-gu searched the Hunter Wiki page to find data. Level 1 data is the limit for an unawakened adult. There are normal data and special data, but most fake awakenings have some normal data chosen and unlocked. Recovery-resistant stamina intelligence are some special data, and there's no way to know how to unlock these special data except in rare cases. It's difficult to increase even 0.001 points per day through normal training. Sang-gu looked at his own stats. His total increased by 0.39 because the clones trained tirelessly and obeyed every command given. They always pushed themselves to the limit, which caused his data to rise quickly. Sang-gu wondered if his points would increase if he trained along with the clones. But there's no way he'd ever join such grueling training. Suddenly, Sang-gu saw a gym advertisement. He came up with a great idea. Sang-gu looked at the full registration fee. He realized his account balance wasn't enough. Sang-gu sighed. Lately, he had been spending more on food. He should find a part-time job or something. His current workplace nearby wasn't doing well. Sang-gu tapped on his computer searching. He planned to work as a construction helper, good exercise, and earning money. He scrolled through a list of jobs. The first few times, he would have to go work himself. The clone couldn't do jobs he hadn't experienced before. He stopped at a delivery job posting. He picked up the phone and called the recruiter. The phone rang for a while, then someone picked up. He asked for information about the job. They said no interview was needed, he just had to show up and start working. They asked when he could start. Sang-gu said tomorrow. The person on the other end asked loudly if he couldn't start today. Sang-gu was surprised to hear that. He declined, and they scheduled him to come at 6:30 the next evening. The next day, Sang-gu went to the delivery company to be sure. He went with another clone, but made it wear a mask and a hood covering its face. Sang-gu told it to answer properly while working. Its name was Gi-ong-do. Just as he was wondering where to go, suddenly someone called him. Sang-gu turned around and recognized an acquaintance. Uncle Dae-ok. The man barely recognized him because he had lost so much weight. He pointed Sang-gu to the building and told him to go inside. That was the office. Sang-gu was fired up and mentally prepared to work. After finishing the job early, he went home. After a while, he was panting heavily like a worn-out ox. His mouth was dry and his hands and feet were trembling. He had been too unrealistic about this job. He figured it would probably take until tomorrow to finish. Sang-gu cried silently without tears. He should have just stayed home and cleaned. Only the clone was useful. After receiving a 1-hour break order, Sang-gu felt like he was about to transform into a ghost. Just then, Uncle Dae-ok handed him 2 cans of drinks, advising him to stay hydrated to replace sweat loss. Uncle even bought food. Sang-gu gratefully accepted it. Uncle Dae-ok sat down beside Sang-gu and the clone. He looked at the clone and asked its name. It worked like an ox, but was very quiet. The clone said its name. Sang-gu had already mentioned it earlier. The uncle gave it to him. Then he turned to ask Sang-gu if he was okay. It seemed this was Sang-gu's first time doing this kind of work. Sang-gu said he was quite tired. The uncle burst out laughing and praised them for being persistent. Most people quit around this time. Sang-gu silently crushed the can in his hand. If he hadn't been broke, he wouldn't have needed this job. The uncle asked which university he attended. He replied he was at Hizongo University. The uncle complimented him, saying he must be good to get into that school. The uncle wished his daughter could go to that school, too. Sang-gu comforted him not to worry too much. He wasn't that good, but still got in. The uncle was curious how he got admitted. He said he had some certificates and was admitted directly. The uncle laughed out loud, thought for a moment, then asked if he wanted to find another job. He asked what kind of a job. The uncle said he could tutor his daughter instead of wearing himself out here. Sang-gu hesitated a little. He thought about his account balance. He asked the uncle about the salary. The uncle said 50,000 won per session. Each session lasted 2 hours, 1 or 2 sessions per week. Sang-gu calculated that 50,000 won for 2 hours wasn't bad pay for the time spent. Sang-gu accepted. The uncle brushed off his pants, stood up, and said he would discuss it with his daughter and get back to him. Sang-gu also stood up and stretched. Things were really going smoothly. The system popped up a notification that his stats had increased by 0.001 again. He was satisfied he had a job and his stats increased. It was really great. At that moment, another uncle pushed out 2 boxes and told them to transfer them on. Sang-gu turned off the electronic board. He rummaged through his bag to eat first, then continued working. But he had been so busy talking that his food bag was already completely empty. He glanced over and saw the clone chewing messily, missing every bite. Sang-gu froze with an awkward smile. Its mouth looked like it had eaten everything damn dog. The next morning, Sang-gu was aching all over. He swore he would have to use number 1 to do part-time work from now on. Looking at his stats, they had only improved a little. This proved that number 1 was working very hard. He used telepathy to order number 1 to go home. He wanted to make it disappear by summoning it back, but that would mean losing the outfit. After finishing breakfast, number 1 returned. He told it to take a shower and change clothes. Then he ordered it to hold out its hand. Sang-gu nervously held the acupuncture needle and pricked his finger. Blood oozed from his finger, but number 1 showed no reaction. Flustered, Sang-gu wiped the blood with tissue and asked if it hurt. Number 1 remained indifferent with no expression. Sang-gu read on the Hunter Wiki that unlocking the resurrection skill can be done in the following ways. First, injure the body yourself. Second, let it heal on its own without any external help. Third, repeat these 2 steps until the skill is unlocked. Fearful Sang-gu didn't dare create a bigger wound. It felt gross already, so he decided to just regularly make small wounds for now. Sang-gu told number 1 that whenever it's hungry or done working, it should just eat ramen. He gave it a phone and told it to take it along when working and remember to answer calls. Saying that, Sang-gu grabbed his bag and a flyer and went outside. He looked for the address of the gym from the other day. While walking, he ran into an acquaintance, a tall, big, dark-skinned guy who grabbed him roughly. He asked about Sang-gu, who was a bit startled. Sang-gu frowned and shrugged off his hand. This guy was Kim Gi-yong. He laughed and said, "You've lost a lot of weight lately, huh? Must have dropped a lot of pounds." Sang-gu held up the flyer and said he was exercising every day now. He was on his way to the gym now. Gyeongjo poked his own belly fat. He said he needed to work out too. He asked what gym Sang-gu was training at. Sang-gu said the gym was called Flexible Body. Gyeongjo laughed loudly. He said that place was highly rated. The personal trainer there was super handsome. He followed Sang-gu to the gym. The two went inside. The instructor quickly greeted them. He introduced that the gym was currently running a promotion. If you register for 3 months, it only costs 160,000 won. Sang-gu didn't hesitate and signed up for 3 months at once. After all, the clone would be the one working out for him. Sang-gu asked the trainer to show him machines suitable for his body type. After paying, the two took a tour around. Sang-gu tried hard to lift weights, but after a few reps he was out of breath and sat down. The trainer complimented his physique. Just as he was about to introduce a machine, they heard a loud crashing noise. Turning around, they saw Gi-ong easily lifting weights with loud crashes like a bull. After lifting, he posed around showing off. The trainer exclaimed and asked if he had done bodybuilding before. Gi-ong laughed and said this was his first time training. His physical strength had increased after awakening. The trainer asked what his fitness stat was. Excited, he answered 2.1. Hearing their conversation, Sang-gu realized that the hunter skill Gi-ong mentioned last time was strength. But if even a newly upgraded skill was that strong, how strong must the higher-level hunters be? No wonder everyone only talks about hunters. Sang-gu felt his phone vibrate. He pulled it out and answered. The caller was Deokchi. Uncle called about the tutoring. He asked if Sang-gu had time now to meet and talk. Sang-gu said yes. They agreed on a meeting place and hung up. Sang-gu went to Deokchi's apartment. He muttered, "That bastard Gyeongdo shows off a lot but never signs up. Guess there aren't many pretty PTs here, so he doesn't bother. But that's fine because now he doesn't have to worry about sending the clone to the gym anymore." Sang-gu stood in front of Deokchi's door and heard some noise inside. He pressed his ear to listen. Inside, father and son were arguing about the tutor. The daughter seemed like she didn't really want a tutor. Suddenly, the door slammed open. Sang-gu hit the door face first and fell sitting on the ground. Deokchi stepped outside intending to sneak off to work, but saw Sang-gu standing outside the door. The daughter inside was also stunned. After a brief commotion, Deokchi invited him inside to sit down. His wife brought out some apples to offer him. He had lost so much weight recently that she barely recognized him. Sang-gu turned to the daughter. By then, she had put away her earlier fierce demeanor and shyly introduced herself. Deokchi and his wife whispered and giggled to each other, saying the girl was shy. Hyun was still embarrassed. She didn't know what else to say. Now she just wished she could find a hole to crawl into the ground. Sang-gu probably heard everything earlier. He acted as if nothing had happened. He talked about her studies and asked her to show him her grades. Hyun shyly handed them over. After looking, Sang-gu stood frozen, stunned. He couldn't even manage a smile. Deokchi and his wife exchanged knowing smiles. Deokchi grabbed his jacket and rushed outside, saying he had to go to work. Sang-gu also noticed the girl's embarrassment. He told her not to worry. He hadn't scored very high on the SAT either. He had lots of tips for tackling the test. Hyun brightened up considerably. The girl was excited. Sang-gu began tutoring her. After finishing, he went home. He still had a lot of work to do, but luckily Hyun was pretty smart. Sang-gu sat back down. He told himself number one must have gone to work already. He had already given her a backup phone. But if the number of clones increased, managing multiple phones would become a hassle. Sang-gu went online to the Hunter website to look for skills. He found an urgent sale for telepathy skills. It allowed linking senses with pets and summoned creatures. The linked parties could share their vision. Price was 1 million won. Sang-gu scrolled to another listing. Telepathy skill scroll for 4 million won. Sang-gu muttered to himself. If he had that much money, he would have bought a whole house already. He'd have to work until the end of his life to afford these skills. Do hunters really manage to buy stuff like this? Being rich at this price is still considered low-end. Sang-gu checked his bank balance again on his phone, 233,001. He threw the phone down on the bed, annoyed. He wondered if he should become a hunter. Scrolling through some news, he saw the luxurious lives of A-rank hunters. He sat up abruptly. That skill was really great after all. With it, he could easily send clones to handle small tasks. Sang-gu put on his jacket. If he was going to be a hunter, then so be it. Sang-gu headed straight to the hunter center. He stretched his arms. He wasn't sure if he had just unlocked his vitality or not. Even though he'd only slept a few hours, he still felt refreshed. Sang-gu went inside. He looked around curiously. It seemed not many people had come to take the test. Tweet-Tun announced there were 20 minutes left to register for the hunter qualification test in the basement. Sang-gu followed the directions downstairs and opened the door to the hunter certification exam room. Inside, a crowd was already waiting. Sang-gu didn't dare say a word. He sat in an empty seat. After a while, 3 people entered. The short, gruff man leading was Han-mi Aongwon. He was a C-rank hunter and the exam proctor. He introduced the test, which included a written exam, a practical test, and an aptitude test. Anyone caught cheating would be disqualified from this exam and banned from next year's test as well. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Then the test began. In some car, CEO Kang of GM Company was being pressured to pay a deposit. He promised to pay it all by the end of the month. After hanging up, he checked his watch. The hunter test must be over by now. He had to hurry there to make his move. Sang-gu finished the test, feeling like he had just woken from a dream. Now he had passed the test and became an F-rank hunter. He couldn't believe it. Everyone said it was really easy. He was still wondering just how easy it actually was. It turns out to be just like a driver's license test. The written exam questions were pretty easy. Just remember a few things and you're good. They give plenty of time to practice the practical part. And the bar is pretty close too. The aptitude test was like a civic education class at school. They ask one question and then you're done. This job involves weapons and risking your life, yet the test is so brief. Sang-gu was a bit in disbelief. It was as if the government wanted them to do this job. Sang-gu sighed. He saw a group of people in the distance. He was curious if they belonged to the organization that recruits hunters. Suddenly, someone behind him handed over a business card congratulating him on passing the hunter test. This person was CEO Kang from earlier. He introduced himself as Kang Jun-mo. He told Sang-gu to contact him whenever buying items or looking for monsters to hunt. He would get the lowest prices. Sang-gu shyly thanked him. Suddenly, the system notification popped up in front of him. His cloning skill increased to level 2. The maximum number of clones that can be created simultaneously is now 2. Without waiting for CEO Kang to finish his introduction, Sang-gu hurriedly ran off, leaving a message that he would contact again later. CEO Kang trembled quietly with tears. Silent tears and snot flowed inside. "Remember to contact me again, okay?" Sang-gu chuckled. Cloning is really amazing. He named the newly created clone number 2 and pulled out the business card he picked up today preparing for his hunter journey. CEO Kang tiredly threw the remaining business cards onto the chair beside him. He silently hoped people would get in touch. Kang Jun-mo looked out the window. He recalled the conversation with his superior at headquarters. His superior threw a pile of papers at him, instructing him to allocate funds according to the amounts listed there. Kang Jun-mo flipped through the pages to check the numbers inside. He found the amount rather strange. The blood price of dwarf demons should be at least 5,000. His boss said some nonsensical thing telling him to get a grip. If they always followed the rules and did the right thing, they might as well eat dirt. The boss put down his coffee cup and patted Kang Jun-mo on the shoulder. "I know you're very upright, but don't be too sensitive about business here." Kang Jun-mo trembled tightly, clutching the papers, unable to say anything more. His head ached. If he had known earlier, he should have just kept quiet. Suddenly, his phone rang. He took it out and answered. On the other end was Sang-gu calling. He had something to ask. They arranged to meet at a cafe. When Jun-mo arrived, Sang-gu was already there. They exchanged words briefly. Sang-gu wanted to hunt somewhere safe and suitable for a newbie. Jun-mo asked about Sang-gu's skills. He replied that his skill was cloning. Jun-mo felt awkward after hearing that. He had heard of this skill before. It seemed to be the ability to create illusory clones, but those clones were useless. A rookie with such a useless skill couldn't achieve anything on a hunt. Jun-mo thought for a moment, but remained polite. He pretended to praise Sang-gu's skill, and then handed him a contract to read. The first hunting spot he suggested was the Slam Slam hunting ground. It wasn't aggressive or dangerous, but when hit it would spray out liquid and poisonous gas. You need to wear a mask and protective gear. Those things are hard to wear, so the downside is you can't hunt for long. Sang-gu grabbed the contract and said it was no problem. The second option was hunting one-horned rabbits. The hunting time there was ample, but they were hard to catch, so probably not a lot of loot. There was a fence around, so it was also a safe place to hunt. As for other low-level monsters like giant rats, but the two options Kang Jun-mo gave were the best if Sang-gu wanted to ensure safety. Sang-gu still carefully flipped through the contract. Both places were good. He was also quite satisfied with the item prices. He put the contract down and said he accepted it. Kang Jun-mo noted it down in his book and asked which hunting ground he wanted to choose. Suddenly, another hand stamped the signature. A second Sang-gu appeared. He said he liked both hunting grounds and wanted to try them all. Kang Jun-mo looked at the two people in front of him who looked exactly the same. He recalled that he had once met a ninja with self-cloning skills before, but those clones were just illusions, useless and intangible, unable to cause any real damage when touched. But now witnessing Sang-gu's cloning ability, he was extremely surprised. That clone could check contracts and even drink coffee. This was the first time he had seen such a skill. Junmo still doubted a bit and asked Sang-gu, "Are you two twins?" You burst out laughing. It was understandable that he misunderstood. Sang-gu patted the clone's shoulder and said, "This is my clone. My clone is the real deal. Actually, I have another one, but I've sent it to the gym." Junmo was surprised. "You have to work out even for your clone." Sang-gu explained cheerfully, "If my clone gets stronger, then I will become stronger too." Junmo felt much more hopeful. This was not just an ordinary F-rank hunter skill. Sang-gu had huge potential. He asked Junmo if it was a problem to enter many locations at once with the same person. Junmo replied that it might be difficult to enter simultaneously because each time he enters a place it's recorded separately. Sang-gu teared up slightly, rubbing his hands together nervously. "So it's not allowed." Junmo said he would talk to the Hunter Association about this and make some adjustments. Instead, he needed to scan Sang-gu's collar and required Sang-gu to personally demonstrate his skill, so he asked Sang-gu to go with him. Sang-gu agreed but would not be able to use his skill again until tomorrow evening because he needed to recharge. Junmo arranged to meet him at the Hunter Center. 2 days later, after signing the contract, they began their cooperation. 2 days later, Sang-gu arrived at the Hunter Center as promised. After waiting a while, Junmo arrived too. They went inside together. After queuing and getting his number, it was Sang-gu's turn to copy access to the hunting areas. Because his skill was a cloning, but he only had one identification collar. The staff told him to wait a moment because he was the first person after Jumper to request access duplication, so it would take some time. A short while later, the staff gave him a stack of forms and told him to go to the administrative office and equipment room to complete the procedures, and that he could request a test in the skill demonstration room. Sang-gu looked at the pile of paperwork and started sweating nervously. So many forms. Junmo took the documents to handle them for him. He told Sang-gu to go to the skill demonstration room. After Junmo left, Sang-gu went to the skill demonstration room. He summoned his clone and requested to make an identical identification collar. Completed. Now your clones can also enter the hunting areas by scanning their fingerprints. Considering the cloning skill's features, entering and exiting multiple locations at the same time is possible, and clones can also enter places you have visited before. Sang-gu took the bracelet and said thank you. The old man was extremely fascinated, repeatedly examining Sang-gu's clone. According to him, not only in Korea but also worldwide, there had never been a precedent like this. Sang-gu didn't want to stay there any longer. He pulled his clone and left. Sang-gu met Junmo again to report that the access request had been completed. Finally, all preparations for the hunt were done. He planned to go to the hunting area right away today. The three of them were talking when an acquaintance of Junmo saw them. He was the head of the Hiseong Association. He jumped down from the second floor. With a challenging face, he asked Junmo if he was still working as a hunter. Junmo was bitter but could do nothing, so he gritted his teeth and said, "Yes, sir, Chief." That man burst into a harsh laugh. He glanced at Sang-gu beside him, asking who he was. Junmo said he was a hunter affiliated with his company. The association head looked Sang-gu up and down. With a face full of contempt, he said, "You're a named hunter, huh?" The chief was holding back laughter so hard he was shaking. "They say it's hard far from home, Mr. Junmo, once supervising C and B rank hunters, and now reduced to this." The chief burst into a harsh laugh again, howling like a madman. The old man couldn't believe Junmo was worried about a stupid ranker wearing such a ridiculous sweater. Junmo was angry. Jun was about to snap back. Sang-gu patted his shoulder to stop him. On the other side, the guildmaster still hadn't stopped. He looked at Sang-gu like he was some kind of insect and asked if he had anything to say. Sang-gu laughed heartily, the opposite of a normal reaction. He said he was honored just to meet the guildmaster of the top corporation in the country. The guildmaster praised him, saying he had good taste. Sang-gu added more, saying he was not just like that. Not only was it the top corporation in the country, but it was also the top monopoly in dungeon operations nationwide. The leader in controlling hunting zones. The leader in payout rates. He couldn't believe the guildmaster of that corporation was praising him like this. Now he was so happy he didn't know what to do. The guildmaster cracked his neck. He thought Sang-gu was quite brave. He didn't know when he had snuck up behind Sang-gu. He wanted to test if Sang-gu's skills could keep up with his courage. Sang-gu was sweating as he looked behind. Luckily, someone came over just in time to stop the guildmaster's next move. He let go of Sang-gu. He asked for his name. Sang-gu joked and didn't say, telling him to go find the answer himself. They left the guild center. Junmo thanked him for what happened earlier. He said he was not stupid. He had discovered that by investigating a bit about the Zimmer organization, but there wasn't much information about it on the internet. While investigating, he saw a rumor about manager Kang Junmo. According to someone involved, he had been kicked out of the Hyseong Corporation. Junmo realized Sang-gu already knew everything. He asked why Sang-gu chose their organization. Sang-gu didn't hesitate to say it was because of the payout rate. Unexpectedly, the rate was 80-20. Moreover, if anything happened in this industry or corporation that he couldn't handle, he could trust Junmo. Junmo was touched and thanked him. Meanwhile, in the gym room, Sang-gu's clone was training so hard that his hands were bleeding. People around whispered worriedly about him. Suddenly, the phone got a message. The clone opened it and saw it was from Sang-gu telling him to finish the workout and take a shower. At 4 o'clock, wait for him in front of the gym. The clone obeyed, stopped training, drank water, and rested. Sang-gu was in the hunting zone. He wore full protective gear and held a hammer poking at slimes. After leaving the hunting zone, he took off his mask and complained. The gas mask was really cumbersome. He felt like he was wearing a ton of masks and breathing through them. Junmo said the slime hunting area was quite safe, but hunters rarely went there. The loot wasn't much either. Sang-gu didn't think he could do this for long. Junmo said he could hunt until the container was full, and once full, he could switch to the replacement locker. However, no matter how patient a person was, it was hard to endure 6 hours. Sang-gu was sure he couldn't even last 2 hours. Forget 6 hours, so he planned to delegate it to clone number 2. With tears in his eyes, Sang-gu saw clone number 2 off into the hunting zone. He turned to tell Junmo to go next to the single-horned rabbit hunting zone. At this moment, he suddenly remembered he hadn't picked up clone number 1 from the gym. Sang-gu and Junmo went to the gym to get clone number 1. Junmo found it interesting that Sang-gu named his clones number 1 and number 2. After all, they were clones, so names didn't really matter. Giving them fancy names would just confuse him. Sang-gu changed the subject. He asked if Junmo had heard people used guns to hunt single-horned rabbits. If so, shouldn't he prepare some equipment, like a gun or something? Junmo said he didn't need to worry. He could use his own gear, but he could also rent from the hunting ground. Junmo reminded him it's best to prepare his own equipment later because rented gear is only allowed to be used at that specific hunting ground. They did this for easier retrieval. After a while, they arrived at the single-horned rabbit hunting ground. There were quite a few guards outside. This place was the famous large-scale Yujang-san hunting ground. The Slam hunting ground is incomparable. Sang-gu had also heard of this hunting ground before. Basically, the gate does not connect to the outside world. Therefore, most hunts happen after the hunter goes through the gate. In some cases, a monster breaks through the gate, destroying the surrounding environment, and that place gradually becomes a hunting ground. That event is called a monster break. 5 years ago, when a monster break occurred, most high-level monsters were wiped out. What's left are only E and F-level monsters. Thus, hunters highly value this place as a lucrative hunting ground. The two entered inside. Junmo pointed to the counter of a tall, smelly black man. He told him he could rent equipment there. The man tossed him a box containing various gear rifles, goggles, and earplugs. Night vision earplugs, about 400 bullets, and an entry ticket, all totaling 700,000 won. Sang-gu almost staggered as he handed over his card. No tears, just shock at how expensive it was. Junmo comforted him, saying most of the cost was from the ammo. But of course, if Sang-gu could successfully hunt a one-horned rabbit, there would be no problem. The price of a one-horned rabbit is as expensive as a bucket of slime essence. Junmo led the way deeper into the hunting ground. The three stood before a room's door. When it opened, they saw guns firing rapidly inside. Inside was a crowd of people hunting rabbits. Junmo pointed out the standing position for him. His spot was number 4. Sang-gu confidently held his gun. He bragged that he only missed 3 shots in the shooting test during the hunter exam. Junmo said nothing. The target was so close, yet he missed 3 times. Sang-gu loaded his gun and put on earplugs. He confidently declared those monsters wouldn't escape the barrel of his eagle eye. Junmo felt embarrassed and thanked the heavens that everyone here wore earplugs. Sang-gu looked through the scope, shouted that he saw a rabbit aimed straight at its head, and pulled the trigger. 3 hours later, Sang-gu was traumatized. He couldn't believe he couldn't even shoot down one. How could this be? Sang-gu sighed in despair. His aim was fine, but the rabbits were too clever. Just as the bullet fired, they would dart away. Junmo had already asked to leave earlier because it was very late. Sang-gu was sad. He hadn't even earned back the money he spent on ammo. Should he just give up today and go home? Sang-gu ordered clone number 1 to hunt one-horned rabbits here and use a spear gun to collect them for him. He told it to send him a message every time it shot one and to call him if it ran out of ammo. Sang-gu sighed in despair. Now I'm going home. He went home, lay on the bed, and saw his mana increasing continuously. He comforted himself that at least number 2 was still killing monsters pretty well. Although his stats were increasing compared to that guild leader, the road ahead was still very long. Sangu yawned tiredly. Hunting one-horned rabbits was definitely a mistake. He didn't think it would be this hard. Sangu closed his eyes, wishing number 1 would catch at least one to save face. Then he fell asleep, not noticing number 1 sending him messages non-stop. Junmo was dazed in the office. The Slam hunting ground managers called him to come quickly. The entire Sangu clone had been hunting for over 24 hours and was no longer able to stay awake. Junmo was shocked and hurried over. At dawn, when Sangu finally woke up, he wondered if number 1 had run out of ammo. He checked his phone messages and it itched him. Why were there so many messages? Junmo arrived at the Slam hunting ground. He couldn't believe it. In just one day, that clone had filled all these containers. The clone was still wearing protective gear, bleeding heavily, but not stopping. Junmo took out his phone and called Sangu with good news. His clone had already filled all the containers and he was preparing to call the Monster Corp's cleanup team. He told Sangu to order number 2 to stop hunting. Sangu was at the one-horned rabbit hunting ground and asked Junmo if he could send someone here. The pile of rabbit corpses caught by number 1 was already blocking the path here. The crowd gathered around number 1, continuously filming and chatting, unable to believe that number 1 had taken down all those rabbit corpses. Number 1 wore a mask, a hat, sitting absent-mindedly in one spot. A broker from the Brown Bear Guild came over, gave him a business card, and praised his sharpshooting skills. He kept holding out the business card, but number 1 still didn't react at all. He tried to stay calm, his hand trembling as he held the card, comforting himself that geniuses are always a bit weird and shouldn't get annoyed. A broker from another guild laughed heartily, reminding that no matter how much they tried to start a conversation, he didn't utter a single word. The guy from the Brown Bear Guild was a bit skeptical, sure that number 1 must have said at least 1 or 2 words by now. Sangu, wearing a hood, quietly passed the bullets. He told number 1 to keep hunting, and if Junmo showed up, to leave the pile of rabbit corpses for him to handle. Sangu patted number 1 on the shoulder, praising him for a job well done, then walked away. Number 1 felt thrilled by the praise and eagerly picked up his gun to continue hunting. The crowd around them became lively again, ready to grab their cameras and record. Sangu was tutoring Deokchi's daughter and realized he had underestimated what clones could do. Now the clones had reached 50% of the stats. Simply put, it means they could do 50% of what he could, but something felt off, like letting a machine play for you. The clones made decisions without hesitation and with intense focus. Lost in thought, Sangu didn't notice Hyun calling him over. Only when she called loudly did he jump, dropping his pen. She asked what he was daydreaming about. Sangu shyly handed back the test and complimented Hyun for doing better than last time. Hyun took the paper and asked again what he had been thinking about. Sangu rested his chin on his hand and casually replied that passing by the hunting ground, something better than he expected happened. Hearing hunting ground, Hyun jumped up in surprise and asked if he was a hunter. Sangu didn't deny it. Hyun sat down, took out her phone, and asked if he knew this guy. Today everyone was talking about this person on Wiki. Hyun showed a video online. This is a genius hunter with eagle-sharp eyes. Sangu was shocked to his core, spat water out, trembling, unable to believe his own hands. Hyun, extremely excited, asked if he knew him. Everyone on Hunter Wiki was going crazy over this guy. The video showed him hunting over 200 rabbits without uttering a single word. Everyone thought he was super cool and mysterious. When asked his name, he only answered Eagle Yujiang-san. Sangu was even more shocked after hearing that, frozen speechless. Hyun admired the video and said she also wanted to become a hunter. Sangu asked if she was awake yet to want to be a hunter. Hyun sighed shyly, saying she had a license but was a bit scared to go to the hunting ground. Hesitating for a moment, Hyun nervously asked if Sangu could take her hunting once if she scored high on the next test. Sangu saw no problem with that and said if she worked hard and got a high score this time, he would take her there. Hyun happily shouted and held up her finger, telling Sangu to promise her. Sangu sighed, teasingly promised her, then got up and went outside to prepare to leave. Hyun's mother asked him how Hyun's studies were going. Sangu said she was very good and there was nothing to worry about. Hyun's mother tried to keep him to eat, but he had other business and declined. Hyun pressed her ear against the door to eavesdrop and jumped up excitedly. She got to study with Sangu and found out he was a hunter, which made the conversation go smoothly. At first she didn't like it because he was her father's acquaintance, but Sangu was kind, a good teacher, and handsome, so she was smitten. Hyun brushed away those indecent thoughts and sat at the desk determined to study. Sangu headed to the one-horned rabbit hunting area. When he arrived, it was still bustling. Junmo called a bunch of people to collect rabbits. Junmo asked if Sanggu had checked the money he sent. Sanggu took out his phone. He had turned off notifications and hadn't seen it. When Sanggu checked his account balance, he was stunned. The amount was over 32,000 won. Sanggu excitedly asked if it was really that much. Junmo said his skills seemed to have passed F rank, so he raised it to 83% for E rank hunters. Sanggu shyly rubbed his head but said he wasn't E rank yet. While everyone was laughing and chatting happily, a rough-looking man approached. The guy pointed at Junmo, asking if he was the manager. He was a hunter who had his prey stolen. All the one-horned rabbits he targeted were taken by Sanggu's clones, so this hunt was a bust. He demanded compensation. Junmo swallowed hard and whispered to Sanggu that it seemed they had chosen the wrong spot. Sanggu thought it over, then came up with a clever plan and whispered into Junmo's ear. The man on the other side had lost all patience and demanded 10% of the reward. Sanggu burst out laughing ha-ha without a care. The other guy was furious and asked, "What the hell are you laughing at?" Sanggu patted number one's shoulder and hinted not to worry, saying this guy wouldn't be coming here for a few days. He pretended to turn to Junmo and said, "Let's get out of here." The man grew more irritated, but Sanggu ignored him and brushed past. The man, feeling bitter, turned back and raised his fist as if to attack Sanggu. Sanggu mentally ordered number one. Number one immediately charged forward to block Sanggu, taking the full punch from the man. Number one spat out a mouthful of blood. The man was startled, thinking he hadn't hit that hard. Sanggu, who had been standing nearby, raised his phone and recorded everything. He pretended to be shocked and shouted, "This is too brutal. Violent acts in a sacred hunting ground. If people find out, they won't let this slide." The man looked around and saw others watching him. Sanggu took advantage and continued acting. Oh my God. It would be terrible if this video was posted on our Star Hunter website. The big boss Yu Jiang-san being attacked is shocking. The man began to tense up, sweating bullets. Sanggu held the video up in front of him, patted his shoulder sympathetically, and asked, "Aren't you leaving now?" The man gritted his teeth bitterly, but couldn't do anything. The three of them went to a cafe and sat down. Junmo thought the hunter from before was a member of the Hae Sung Guild because it was a large guild with all kinds of people. Sanggu asked how he knew. Junmo explained, "From the moment he stepped into the hunting ground to collect bodies, he stared at me. It might be a plan to get revenge on us." He thought number one was another hunter who had signed a contract with them previously. Hunters from the GM company have also faced situations like this. Junmo said sadly, "This is a bit embarrassing, but previous hunters didn't keep their contracts long and left. Now only a few E-rank hunters still obey Sanggu." Junmo couldn't promise anything about stopping the Hae Sung Guild either. Sanggu shook his drink and told Junmo not to try to change his mind. He already knew about this, but still joined the guild. He was determined not to let those bastards bully them like this. Sanggu was working on a plan to get stronger quickly. He enthusiastically explained the plan to Junmo. Junmo listened and took out a notebook to write. He had never thought about it that way before. He proposed meeting at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Sanggu happily agreed. They agreed on the location and went home. The next day, they went to the Hunter's Supermarket, a place for trading weapons armor and other gear for hunters. It had always been popular, but a type of department store had entered the hunter market industry and taken a key position in the industry. Because of this, all the equipment hunters needed was always available. Sanggu wore a sturdy titanium armor sure to protect against all E-rank monsters. Sanggu praised it, very comfortable and very light. "I really like this set." Sanggu pulled out the small knife hanging at his side. He said he would practice shooting better, so this was enough for now. Sanggu asked the shop owner for 2 more sets of armor like the one he was wearing. Junmo asked if he still needed to find close combat skills. Sanggu answered, "Yes, but I'm not sure if they have it here." The two of them searched around some more. Finally, they found close combat skills that could share vision and senses with pets, but then saw the price was nearly 200,000. Sanggu trembled and cried out in despair. He turned to Junmo, building good comrade relationships. "Advance on the salary!" Junmo cried but shed no tears. He could lend Sanggu 50,000 right now. Sanggu successfully bought the ice bone orb and took it home. He pulled out the instruction sheet and read it. He poured mana into the orb. For skills with those who can't control mana, turn on the orb's button while keeping it in contact with the body. Sanggu has no idea how to use mana. He fumbles around looking for the switch. Holding the remote in his hand, he trembles. He touches the orb, then closes his eyes and decisively flips the switch. The orb vanishes into thin air. The close combat skill has been created. Sang-Gu calls back the two clones to prepare to move on. Earlier, he had discussed with Junmo. He had an idea to help them level up very quickly. He never imagined the results of their last hunting trip. The clones have half the endurance, stamina, and reaction time of his own stats, but they managed to hunt down 300 one-horned rabbits while he couldn't catch a single one. Even the part where he ordered the clones to take the hunter's punch and act as miserable as possible. But timing that perfectly and calmly sticking your face in front of that punch is no easy feat. Although these clones have low clone stats, they have excellent body control. So Sang-Gu wanted to take advantage of this strength. First, he sent two clones to different training grounds. One trained in ranged weapon skills, the other in close combat. He would train the clones extremely rigorously to push them to their limits. After learning just a few basic moves, the two clones easily defeated opponents and shattered target boards. The second thing was that he needed close combat skills. It not only shares vision, but also shares all senses, smells, catalysts, and connects other sensations. Sang-Gu stood elsewhere using the close combat skill while the clones sparred or practiced shooting. He could experience everything: distances in training matches, joint angles, body balance, muscle movements, and the sensation of power flowing through. He felt all the clones' movements from air pressure as the baton slid by, the smell of gunpowder, the recoil, and even fatigue. And it didn't stop there, though. He didn't even move to get a drink. He still felt everything because he experienced the movements of the clone with a body exactly like his own. Sang-Gu felt like he could imitate those movements right now. Then the system notification popped up, his stamina and reflexes increased. Sang-Gu stretched and prepared mentally. Today he'd try both sparring and shooting. Sang-Gu decided to check out clone number 1 first. He activated the synchronization skill to switch to clone number 1. At this moment, clone number 1 was already sparring with the trainer. They exchanged moves for dozens of rounds. The trainer was somewhat pressured by clone number 1, though clone 1's attacks were sparse, as if he'd never used a baton before. His defense was incredible, dodging perfectly. The trainer tensed his abs and glutes, bracing against clone 1. His strikes were strong. He copied the trainer's moves. The trainer swung his baton and struck at clone 1, but clone 1 dodged and jabbed the trainer's shoulder. The trainer clicked his tongue. Clone 1 tried another strike, but the trainer seized. The moment leapt up, attacked from above, knocked the baton from clone 1's hand and tried to pin him down. The people around applauded. Their trainer was no ordinary fighter. Sang-Gu silently shouted, "Damn it, my wrist!" The trainer picked up the baton and asked clone 1 if he wanted to continue. Sang-Gu anxiously asked if clone 1 was okay. He said nothing and got back into a fighting stance. He jumped up, imitating the trainer's earlier move. Sang-Gu then switched to clone number 2. The air here was thick with the smell of gunpowder. A different pair, a man and a woman, were playfully trading compliments. Clone 2 was shooting at clay targets next to him. Sang-Gu ignored them, focusing on shooting alongside clone 2's movements. He concentrated, keeping his upper body stable without moving, only turning in the shooting direction following the clay's trajectory. When the target aligned, he fired. The clay shattered. Sang-Gu tried to remember every tiny detail. He had to absorb everything the clone experienced. After jumping back and forth a few times, he jumped back again. Sang-Gu wiped the sweat. "You feel a bit dizzy. Your mana is depleted, really dizzy." Sang-Gu sat down to rest in a chair. You marveled at how wild the movements of the clones were. Maybe because they don't know fear and don't think much, their focus is quite high. Consider it some experience gained. Next time you'll try practicing. While admiring the sky, the earth, and the clouds, your beloved student Hyun walked by. You asked her, "It's late. What the heck are you still doing here?" Hyun answered she just came back from the library. The two of you chatted happily, not noticing in the distance. There was a gang of tough guys staring hard. One of them was the troublemaker from the one-horned rabbit hunting ground last time. He was scolded by the big boss for failing to do the job. He apologized nervously. "Sorry, I just wanted to scare a little." But some guy came out from somewhere and recorded it. On the other side, they asked if he got caught on camera beating someone. He tried to explain frantically, but before he finished, the other side interrupted and told him, "Shut up! Don't bark anymore and don't go near Ujangsan Stadium. No matter what happens, you're no longer connected with the Hai Sung gang." The other side left a message. Some small-time punk then hung up. The man was furious after hearing this. He cursed through his phone and wallet against the wall and kept stomping on them. He was venting his anger. Suddenly, two others came to check on him. One was fat and one had long hair. He told the whole story to the newcomers. The fat guy was his senior named Geun-suk. The fat guy holding a cigarette scolded him for being stupid. Joining that #1 gang was dumb. He bowed his head remorseful, asking the fat guy if he had any tasks for him. Now the gang said he shouldn't come near Ujangsun Stadium anymore. The fat guy turned to ask the long-haired guy if he had any work for him. Suddenly he saw Sang-goo's silhouette in the distance and shouted, accusing him of being the one filming. The fat guy asked if he was sure. The man marched forward aggressively. He was absolutely sure, hiding behind a pillar. The man was furious, eyes red with anger. Sang-goo and Hyun were chatting happily when the three men came out. The fat guy led, asking if you were the one bullying his little brother. Sang-goo didn't know who the fat guy was. When he saw the familiar face behind him, he realized. Sang-goo stood calmly and asked the fat guy's group what was going on. The man behind couldn't hold back anymore. He snapped at Sang-goo, telling him not to play dumb. The fat guy stopped his underling's action. He bared his teeth and asked Sang-goo, "I heard your little brother has a video of my little brother acting rash, right? Delete it and we'll back off." Sang-goo raised his phone and asked, "What guarantee do I have that you'll keep your word?" The fat guy licked his lips and completely changed his tone. "There's no way he'll let you off." Sang-goo realized the situation was very tense. He put his phone away and whispered to Hyun, "Find a chance to run." The fat guy and his underlings cracked their knuckles ready to fight. He ordered the other two to charge. Sang-goo had to handle two at once, so it was extremely difficult. They punched him relentlessly, and he fell to the ground, rolling and coughing up blood. Hyun anxiously stood in front of him. Ms. June frantically summoned her psychic orb to threaten the gang. "Back off now." The two underlings hesitated, seeing Hyun's fake awakening, and didn't dare charge anymore. The fat guy tapped each of them on the head. "What are you scared of? There are more fake awakenings now than at the market." Hyun shot a light orb at the fat guy. He easily blocked it. He swung his chubby arm to strike her back. Sang-goo jumped out from somewhere and blocked it. He punched the fat guy square in the face. The fat guy lost his balance and stepped backward. He held his face. The underlings saw their boss was hit and rushed to retaliate. Sang-goo applied theory to practice. He carefully watched the other guy's moves. He dodged to the side, then threw a punch using everything from head to groin straight to the guy's face. The long-haired guy took the opportunity to attack. Knowing he couldn't dodge the long-haired guy's strike, he used a double move, smashing the wallet into the long-haired guy. Both sides were panting heavily. The fat guy was tense. He didn't expect Sang-goo to have some moves, too. The fat guy seriously charged forward. Sang-goo used all his skills to dodge and counterattack. The fat guy was hit several times in a row, but Sang-goo didn't stop. He had to punch hard and fast, forcing the fat guy to expend energy, blocking several blows. Then Sang-goo quickly dodged the fat guy's claw strikes every time. The fat guy saw that he couldn't land a single hit on him. He got more and more furious, his arm muscles tensed to the max, ready to strike him. Sang-goo prepared to dodge, but the long-haired guy grabbed his leg, preventing him from moving. So he took the fat guy's punch full force and was thrown backward into the wall. Sang-goo was gasping for breath. He felt like he couldn't breathe. The fat guy got closer and closer. He swung his arm, ready to throw another punch. Sang-goo thought it was over for him. He closed his eyes, accepting his fate. Suddenly, an explosion sounded. The fat guy was hit and stood there with his mouth open. The attacker was Hyun. The two henchmen quickly stood up and rushed toward her. Just as they tried to attack, two of Sang-goo's clones returned in time and knocked the two guys out. Sang-goo got up from his ground, wiping blood from his mouth. "Finally, I can breathe." The fat guy cursed and charged again. Sang-goo jumped back onto the roof. He delivered a downward kick, knocking the fat guy unconscious on the ground with no more resistance. Sang-goo was exhausted too. He received a system notification that his stats had increased. His cloning skill temporarily leveled up. He sighed deeply and collapsed to the ground. The clones anxiously rushed over to check on him. After the two finished bandaging, Sang-goo took Hyun home. They talked non-stop on the way. Hyun learned that the famous rookie hunter was actually Sang-goo's clone. He told her not to reveal that secret. After a while, they stood in front of Hyun's house. He kindly asked if her hand was okay. Hyun happily said she was fine. Sang-goo thanked her for helping him. Without her, he wouldn't have been able to defeat that fat guy. Hyun's face flushed red. She said if he wanted to thank her, he should buy some meat dishes instead of just saying thanks. Sang-goo promised to buy for her. Then they said goodbye. Sang-goo returned with his two clones. Suddenly remembering something, he asked why they followed him. "We have to work hard." The two clones said it was already late. The shooting ranges were all closed. Sang-gu picked up 2 sticks from the ground and gave each clone one. He told them they could practice in the park, then he went home. 1 month later, Junmo called Sang-gu to ask how things were going. Sang-gu replied everything was fine. Now even he could shoot with a level 6 gun. His cloning skill level had also increased. Junmo excitedly congratulated him. Sang-gu looked at his stats, which had risen to 1.4. He told Junmo he wanted to take 3 level F hunting zones for tomorrow. Junmo was moved by this but promised to find those zones for him no matter what. Sang-gu planned for the clones to train in the morning and go hunting in the afternoon. After finalizing the schedule, they ended the call. After the call, Sang-gu ordered the 3 clones to go to the park. They were to return before 12 and leave their guns at home. The 3 clones obediently went right away. Sang-gu browsed information online. He sighed. From the clones' training, he could see they had learned very well. Unless the movement of the body was impossible, they could copy and replicate almost everything. He wondered what would happen if he learned about all these monsters and the exact ways to hunt them, thinking and doing. Sang-gu began his journey of learning. In the blink of an eye, a night passed. When he saw the clones return, he realized it was already midnight. Sang-gu yawned. These guys were still full of energy. Even after working all day, they weren't tired at all. He ordered them to bathe and then eat. Sang-gu had watched most of the guides on level F monsters. Now he needed to check if the clones really hunted by following the instructions. Sang-gu planned to investigate what was going on and experience hunting to get familiar with battle using familiar skills, then learn about mana during breaks. Sang-gu received a message from Junmo. He urged the clones who hadn't even settled down yet to eat quickly and get ready to go. Sang-gu led the clones to the meeting spot. Junmo he asked if the training area was ready. Junmo replied that he had found 3 areas not too far apart. Sang-gu handed over the 3 clones to Junmo to take care of. As for himself, he would stay home to study by using remote skills. He also needed to train his own mana breathing technique. After the car left, Sang-gu returned to his room. He closed his eyes, calmed his mind, and followed the breathing guidance audio. He tried to recall the feeling of using the skill, a stream of light slowly accumulating in his body. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. He had acquired the meditation skill by stabilizing his mind. Mental fatigue would be slightly restored. The rate of mana growth and recovery slightly increased. In some hunting area, a hunter was struggling, dragging himself step by step to escape. He cursed non-stop, wondering why that monster was here. This was clearly a forced-level dungeon. They only came here to hunt some exotic fish. He needed to report this to the authorities. But the monster didn't let him escape. It bared its sharp teeth and tore the hunter's arm apart. Just then, Junmo sent a clone to the wastewater treatment plant location. He said there were famous exotic fish here known for their strong jaws. The clone replied, got it, and went inside. Junmo took out his phone and informed Sang-gu that all 3 had arrived. Even he couldn't believe a hunter was hunting in 3 different places at once. Meanwhile, the original was still in the room. This possibility was truly top-notch. Meanwhile, at Sang-gu's house, he was excited because he had gained the mana breathing skill. Truly a once-in-a-thousand-years genius. But before he could celebrate for 3 seconds, his phone reminded him to keep sensing mana and continue breathing. Don't confuse meditation with the mana breathing skill. Sang-gu was disappointed. He guessed it would be hard to acquire the mana breathing skill. Then suddenly, overexcited, feeling so embarrassing. He picked up his phone to check and saw that the 3 clones had arrived. Sang-gu used his familiar skill to go to the training area. As soon as he entered, he saw a mouse stabbed with its beak torn open. Sang-gu was startled. What kind of bush is this? Calmly looking again, he realized it was number 1 hunting. Sang-gu continued to observe around. Number 1 was acting exactly as theory predicted. Sang-gu checked the video. Giant rats were one of the most annoying monsters among forced-level monsters. If you plan to hunt them, you should form a team. If there's no choice but to go solo, there are still ways to succeed. First, since the rats rush straight at you, keep your distance and shoot. Of course, you can't kill them all by shooting, so switch to melee. Their skulls are very hard, so aim for the ribs. Rats reproduce rapidly like normal rats, so their numbers are very high. Number 1 calmly took them down one by one. Sang-gu then jumped over to watch number 2. His clones really could hunt just like him, and they even used the skills he had. They weren't scared or panicked at all. They hunted without caring about the opponent's levels, and he could experiment with hunting using familiar skills. Sang-gu's stats gradually increased. The clones also became stronger. Today he would clear out all the F-rank monsters. After hunting for a while, he felt something was missing. Sang-gu suddenly realized he hadn't gathered the monster corpses. His money was flying away with the wind. Immediately, he ordered the 3 clones to go back and collect the corpses. Monsters, hurry up. No money means no wings to fly. Sangu was so frustrated he couldn't cry. He pointed at the fish lying over there and told number 3 not to collect them. It said it didn't hunt those fish. Whoever hunted them should collect them. Sangu's eyes twitched as he pointed at number 3, warning that they were all money. Don't mess around like that, number 3. Listen and collect them. Sang felt gross looking at the fish all torn up. Number 3 pulled a fish's arm out from inside and asked Sangu if he wanted to collect this. It's not even a fish. Seeing the arm, Sangu froze. Suddenly there was noise behind them. The 2 turned to look around cautiously. Number 3 saw the movement turned right and saw it was just a fish head. It was just a trap. The kingfish had been standing behind it all along. Number 3 didn't react in time and was about to turn and shoot when the fish struck, knocking off an arm. Sangu screamed in pain, feeling like his arm was cut off. His consciousness returned to his body. Sangu trembled looking at his arm, which was still intact. The link from earlier was severed. Because of the pain, Sangu was still in shock. He dialed his phone to call Junmo, telling him to come to the hunting ground. Number 3 didn't have much time to explain. Sangu quickly put on his shoes and left immediately. He called both number 1 and number 2, too. On the other side, number 3 was struggling against a giant 6-pack muscular fish. Sangu arrived at number 3's hunting ground. He had lost connection with number 3 and had to wait a long time to summon him again. He passed through the checkpoint and gathered with Junmo and the 2 clones. Only then did Sangu clearly explain the situation to Junmo. The monster inside the hunting ground is very strong. Number 3 has disappeared. Sangu described it as having a fish head and bulging 6-pack muscles. With all limbs intact, in other words, a merman. Junmo was startled. He had to report this to the higher-ups and temporarily close this place. The monster Sangu mentioned is called the merman. Its rank is D. Even a whole team of E-rank hunters couldn't do anything to it. Sangu told Junmo to inform the guards to prevent other hunters from entering. After his clone went in, he couldn't sit still. He wanted Junmo to trust him the same way he trusted his clone. Sang activated his familiar skill again. He advanced with his 2 clones. They quietly approached the spot where number 3 had disappeared. Just before this, the monster was ravenously chewing on a corpse. They had to take this chance to attack. Though his stats were only on par with an E-rank hunter at the moment, his clones had only about 53% of that. They were only around F-rank, but now the merman wasn't in its best condition. Considering the clones' hunting skills combined with their coordinated teamwork, it was still feasible. He ordered the clones to shoot the fish's head, but both bullets fired at the fish's head were deflected. The 2 clones looked dumbfounded, mouths agape. The bullets had no effect at all. The merman slowly stood up. It bared its fangs, slashing and growling. The merman jumped toward clones number 1 and number 2. They jumped to attack the fish from behind, but only managed to scratch it slightly. The fish swung its sword, hitting several trees in the forest. Sangu breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, the fish's body was big, making it difficult to swing the sword among the trees like this. But he had to take back his words. The fish cut down a tree in the blink of an eye. Number 1 and number 2 continued to rush forward, stabbing the fish's arm with knives, but to no effect. It swung a punch, sending number 2 flying into a tree across. Sangu cursed. Damn it. If the attacks keep being useless like this, how the hell are we supposed to hunt this big tough bastard? Sangu suddenly remembered the 2 bullets number 1 and number 2 had fired at the fish earlier. The first bullet was immediately deflected, but the second caused some damage. He ordered the clones to aim at the fish's wound again, and sure enough, it worked. Sangu felt like he saw a light at the end of the tunnel. He told the 2 clones to feed the fish some copper candy. Number 1 and number 2 nimbly dodged attacks, jumping everywhere, shooting repeatedly at the fish's wounds. The fish was infuriated. The sword in its hand glowed red. It swung at clone number 1. He raised his hand to block, but was knocked back, coughing up blood. The fish had grown stronger than before. Sangu quickly realized the sword it held was reacting to its own blood. This meant the fish had sustained significant wounds and was only temporarily stronger. The 2 clones kept attacking the fish's wounds. It staggered in pain and punched clone number 1 in the stomach. Sangu felt the pain deep to his gut. Number 1 grabbed the fish's punching hand. With his other hand, he kept stabbing the fish with his knife. The fish screamed in pain. It kicked number 1 away and then swung its sword to strike down. At that moment, number 2 rushed up to protect number 1. Then the 2 clones continued their assault. After a relentless attack, the fish was badly wounded. Bleeding heavily, it could no longer hold on and collapsed. Both clones were exhausted, panting like cows, and then collapsed on the ground. They couldn't even walk anymore. The ammo was all gone too. Sangu thought today's hunt was enough. Time to stop here. He thought it was over. Sangu sat up to report back to the manager, but noticed the fish behind had completely disappeared. He ordered clone number 2 to follow the fish by tracking its footprints. The fish headed toward the main gate. Outside, the guards had just received a report of a level D monster appearing inside the hunting ground, so the entrance was sealed off. They informed the newly arrived hunters. The hunting team from the association would be dispatched soon, so if there were any changes, they would report back immediately. Just then, a problem occurred at the entrance gate. The monster got close to the gate and was about to charge out. The gate guards fired their guns desperately to stop it from getting out, but the bullets had no effect. The fish burst out of the gate. Clone number 2 threw a knife from behind, hitting the fish's head and making it jump. Sangu rushed out from somewhere to catch the knife, gathering his strength to slash straight into the wound on its head. The fish screamed in pain and blood splattered everywhere. Sangu didn't loosen his grip. He kept pushing the knife into the fish. He collapsed, totally worn out. Clone number 2 proudly shed tears and gave a thumbs up in admiration. A moment later, the hunters from the association arrived. When he arrived, the fish was already lying in a pool of blood. He asked what had just happened here. The gatekeeper explained that a level D monster appeared, but one hunter entered through the gate before the lockdown and hunted down that monster. The association member was skeptical, saying this wasn't a level F hunting ground. Why would a level D team be here? The gatekeeper hurriedly explained it wasn't a level D hunter or group. They were still investigating. But from what they knew, a level F hunter had defeated the monster along with his clones. The association member examined the fish's condition. Every attack on that wound must have caused damage since there were no special weapons involved. But is it really possible to shoot precisely at the wound of a moving monster? He said he would check if there were any other monsters inside the gate. He told the gatekeeper to complete the investigation before he returned. The association hunter sighed. How was he supposed to report this to the association? Saying that the hunter killed the monster himself might be a bit much. Meanwhile, after defeating the fish, Sangu unlocked a bunch of skills. Sprinting, skill regeneration, skill, attack skill, and other stats were also upgraded. Sangu wiped the blood off his body. This time he unlocked so many skills. Earlier he was too busy tussling to notice. Clones 1 and 2 were beaten badly but didn't disappear. It must be from having many regeneration skills. Junmo anxiously asked how clones 1 and 2 were doing. Sangu said they were injured but still needed some cooldown time before he could summon them again, and he thought letting them recover on their own would help boost their regeneration stats. Junmo laughed heartily, praising Sangu as truly amazing, taking down a level D monster completely. He thought now Sangu could handle a level E monster alone without any trouble. Suddenly, Sangu remembered the fish earlier had a very unique short sword that could absorb blood. He was about to reach for the sword when Junmo stopped him. He told him to have his clone retrieve the sword. What if this sword is cursed? Sangu asked. Can you not use cursed items? Junmo explained that cursed items were rare, so their value might be determined by their effects. Hearing about money made Sangu's eyes light up. He followed Junmo's advice and let the clone keep the sword. Cleaning up would be left to the cleanup team. He thought today was more than enough. If he stayed any longer, reporters would swarm all over him. Sangu pulled something from his pants pocket and showed it to Junmo. He asked if it was valuable. It had fallen from the fish's head. He asked if this was expensive. It fell out of the fish's head. Junmo was startled looking at the stone. Sangu held in his hand a low-grade gem. It was worthless, but seeing the hopeful look on Sangu's face, Junmo didn't dare say so. He told him this gem wasn't worth much. It was just an item that increased stats but wasn't used much because of very serious side effects. So the price is really low. After hearing that, Sangu felt like salt was rubbed into his heart. You threw the crushed gem to the ground. I don't need it anymore. Sangu said goodbye to Junmo and sent his 2 clones home. Number 1 and number 2 lay on the bed like zombies. Sangu dropped his bag on the floor and summoned number 3 to check. Sangu handed the equipment to number 3 and told him to go train. Sangu sat down and took out the sword and the gem he had just discarded. He held the gem up. The attribute of this gem is a low-level power-boosting gem, a crystal capable of upgrading strength. Humans can't use it. It works based on summoned entities but will turn them into monsters. This gem increases strength stats by 0.05. It is indeed attractive, but the stats made him very uneasy. Usually injuries on a clone or other sensations don't affect you. But what if you turn into a monster, not a clone, but yourself? Thinking about turning into an ugly monster terrified Junmo. Shoot it once and be done with it. So Sangu had to put the gem away for now, not using it. He opened his sword again to be ready for any danger, so he stored it in this box. Bringing it here to sell would be fine because it's valuable. But if he used it before selling, it might still be okay, right? Sangu ordered number 2 to hold the sword up and try it. Sangu expected something to happen, but nothing did. Just that number 2 honestly reported hearing a voice. Sangu used the close combat skill to enter number 2. As soon as he entered, his head buzzed with sounds of killing. Sangu withdrew. Even inside number 2, there was no reaction. It seems unless it's an extreme sound, the clones won't be affected. If you hold it yourself, who knows what you'll turn into? No wonder that fish went crazy. Sangu told number 2 to hold the sword a bit longer. The system notified his resurrection stats increased. Resting helps them recover a bit faster. Sangu was troubled. Tomorrow he has to take them hunting. But for now, he ordered his clones to unlock the mana breath. Today, they would meditate together. The next morning, Sangu returned to school after a long break. His stats increased significantly. But more importantly, no one even greeted him. Sangu didn't realize he could feel this lonely. He entered the classroom and met his friend. He asked why he was in this class. His friend said he picked this major because the professor is easygoing and generous with grades. Sangu sat down to chat with his friend. People around started whispering, saying that was Sangu. Wasn't he really fat before? Now he's transformed. Sangu asked his friend if he changed a lot. His friend laughed and asked if he had met his parents yet. He guaranteed that even Sangu's old folks wouldn't recognize him anymore. His friend invited Sangu to drink after studying, but Sangu declined, saying he had plans and couldn't go. His friend threw a fit, shouting that Sangu was a traitor abandoning friends for girls. Sangu couldn't shut his friend's loud mouth in time. 2 other friends also heard it. They either hold a grudge or will always remember the day Sangu betrayed them. Just then, the professor entered the classroom, ending the noisy chaos. At the Global Hunters Association VKHA, they had calculated a disaster. A gate will form. Thousands of monsters will pour out. The highest monster level is A, and the gate will likely open in a few days. The location is South Korea. Upon receiving the news, the association organized a meeting with the heads of all guilds nationwide. This cat-eared girl is Han Miho, leader of the Zolo Guild, ranked 6th nationwide. This man is Park Gwangtae, leader of the Kinos Guild, ranked 3rd nationwide. They happened to meet on the way and entered the meeting room together. The leaders of other guilds were there, including Old Hee-song, the nationwide head whom everyone hated. He greeted Gwangtae, but Gwangtae tried to ignore him, not wanting to engage. But Hee-song didn't let it go that easily. He poked at Gwangtae's wound, bringing up the recent incident where Gwangtae's team went to Odin Tower but hadn't been heard from in days. The second-ranked guild leader, Kim Igon, saw this and told Hee-song he was going too far. Hee-song still didn't care about anyone sitting there with a mocking smile. Gwangtae's eyes reddened with anger, but he just held back and said nothing. Just then, the president of the Korean Hunters Association entered. Seeing the tense atmosphere in the room, he cleared his throat and sat down. He announced the monster disaster about to strike the country. Suspecting there might be an A-rank monster involved, the Hunters Association was asked to cooperate with the strongest guilds nationwide. Someone asked when and where it would happen. The president paused and replied that aside from it likely happening within the country, they had no specific information. The second-ranked guild leader slammed the table angrily, shouting that they had to defend the entire nation without even knowing the gate's location. The president shyly raised a document to cover his face. The only thing they knew was that the disaster would happen soon. The other guilds started to stir. They didn't even have enough hunters to handle internal issues, so how could they stop a disaster without knowing the time and place? The other guilds kept asking questions, making the president confused and unsure what to do. Gwangtae raised his hand with a suggestion. He proposed that each guild prepare a hunter team, ready to deploy at any emergency, check the areas around their territory, and when the disaster happens, all guilds would concentrate all efforts at that location without exception. This was mandatory, and any guild that didn't comply would be severely punished. The president thought this was a reasonable idea. He asked if anyone else had any suggestions. They would decide by raising hands. The other guild leaders, who had no objections, all raised their hands at once. The president sighed with relief. Finally, they had reached a conclusion. The meeting ended. The other guilds continued to protect their areas and maintain close cooperation. After class ended, Sangu happily grabbed his backpack and headed home. From afar, he saw some guy flirting with Heon. The guy was trying to get her phone number. Hyun tried to refuse by saying she already had a boyfriend, but the guy wouldn't let go and kept trying to hold her back. Sang-gu approached and asked Hyun why she was there. Hyun grabbed the chance like a lifeline. She called Sang-gu honey and ran over to grab his arm, pulling him away. Sang-gu didn't understand what was going on. After they got away from the guy, Hyun explained the situation to him. She emphasized to Sang-gu that she didn't have a boyfriend. He didn't react and changed the subject, asking why she had him buy meat for her. Didn't she have school today? Hyun began to fall into a self-loving spiral. She asked Sang-gu if he couldn't take his eyes off her usual look. She asked if he wanted to ask for her number. Sang-gu froze, clenching his fists. I've been around for a while. Suddenly, he got a text notification showing payment from Junmo. He checked his account and saw he had earned an extra 50,000 truly at the peak of success. Sang-gu excitedly told Hyun to hurry up so they could go pick the most expensive meat to eat. The two of them went to a Korean beef restaurant to eat. It was undeniably delicious, but Hyun was still worried about the price. Sang-gu told her to just eat and not worry about anything. As they were eating enthusiastically, suddenly, an emergency broadcast came on the TV. At this moment, a disaster warning was being broadcast across the country. This was an extremely serious matter. All citizens were urged to pay attention. Sang-gu's friend Gyeong-do cried without tears. It's not fair. Why does Sang-gu get to hang out with women while we have to stroll the streets alone? They saw Sang-gu eating with Hyun through the glass and kept calling him a traitorous bastard. Just then, Gyeong-do got the notification. He took it out to check online while everyone else panicked about the disaster, but no one at school was saying anything. At that moment, Sang-gu and Hyun had just finished their meal and stepped outside. They asked the girl next to Sang-gu who she was, if she was his girlfriend. Sang-gu said no, she was his student and he just invited her to a meal. Both sides greeted each other and introduced themselves. Sang-gu handed Hyun a wrapped package telling her to take it home for her parents. He had asked the staff to pack up the leftover food they couldn't finish. He reminded her to be careful going home and not wander around anymore. Hyun blushed and asked Sang-gu if that was all for today, nothing more. Sang-gu still insisted she should head home quickly. Her parents wouldn't be happy if they were still wandering outside during a disaster warning. Sang-gu's friends teased him for nagging and being rigid, just like an old man. Annoyed, Sang-gu shouted and chased his friends away. After seeing off his friends and Hyun, he looked around and noticed everyone was still calm, smiling, and chatting as if nothing had happened. Sang-gu called Junmo to ask about the disaster. Junmo said the information wasn't official yet, but the association planned to keep the warning for at least 3 more months because they didn't know when or where the space gates would appear. But the number of invading monsters would be large and quite dangerous. They even said there might be A-rank monsters, so if a gate appeared in the capital, there would be many casualties. Sang-gu couldn't understand why, if it was that dangerous, the association wouldn't provide more information to the public and strongly urged people to be more careful like the hunters from the association did. Junmo explained the issue was the 3-month time frame. The economy and essential supplies would be severely affected if they prevented people from working for such a long period. The association would be blamed for those losses. That's why they didn't provide full information. So no matter what happened, at least they could say they warned the people. Junmo said he was heading to the shelter right now. The hunting zones had also been quarantined, so no one could hunt in this situation. Sang said he was going home too. They ended the call. Sang-gu went home to check on number 1 and number 2. Number 2 was almost fine, but number 1's injury was serious, and he was still bedridden. Seeing the cooldown was finished, Sang-gu decided to re-summon number 1. He gave number 1 a new hat to wear so he wouldn't confuse the 3 clones. Just then, number 3 also returned. The 3 went home to visit their parents. Sang-gu's mother came to open the door. She froze for a moment, almost not recognizing her son. His father and younger sister warmly welcomed them. His sister even directly asked who he was. Sang-gu's mother noticed the clones behind him and asked who they were. "Are they your friends?" Sang-gu told the clones to take off their masks. The family gasped in surprise. After a while explaining, the whole family understood it was Sang-gu's skill. A month ago, he had joined the Awakening program. Sang-gu's father asked if he was a hunter too. His mother didn't care much because it was very dangerous. Sang-gu tried to explain to his family that he wasn't in any danger. The clones hunted on his behalf. Sang-gu told his parents that due to the disaster warning, they had to go to the shelter. His father seemed uninterested and said they would see how things went. He still had to work tomorrow. They couldn't just pack and leave suddenly. Sang-gu sighed. His father didn't realize how serious the situation was because society was still relatively calm. He decided that from today on he would stay here with everyone. He lied that he had received a notice that school was closed. Sang-gu took out the Korean beef he had brought back earlier and invited the family to eat. Sang-gu's mother wanted to invite the clones to eat too, but he said just give them some rice. No need for a big feast. The family began to sit down for the meal. The 3 clones sat around a huge bowl of rice. The family was happily eating when suddenly the house wall collapsed. Sang-gu fainted for a moment. When he opened his eyes and looked around, he saw his house was a pile of rubble. Outside monsters filled the sky. What the hell was going on? A giant dragon roared thunderously. It gathered a fireball and then shot it around. Sang-gu frantically turned back to check on his family. Everyone was already unconscious. Number 1 had disappeared. He used his body to protect everyone from the explosion. Number 3 was seriously injured, losing an arm. Didn't expect the gate to open so quickly. The family members also gradually woke up. He pulled out his gun and told everyone to leave quickly. The space gate had already opened. Many people would be in danger. Monsters kept rampaging through the city. They captured and killed people everywhere. It was a scene of sorrow and mourning. Sang-gu gave number 1's gear, which he had worn, to his little sister. The family prepared to evacuate. Just then a monster fell from the sky. It looked at Sang-gu and sneered. The gate appeared in the sky and many other monsters also fell down. They didn't know how to fly, so falling from such a height caused severe injuries. Sang-gu easily dealt with them. On the other side, Sang-gu's family tried to open the door but couldn't. He took his father's baseball bat and activated an enhanced skill to break the lock and get outside. Everyone went out of the apartment, but all the vehicles were broken. The nearest shelter was 2 kilometers away, and many monsters were still falling unharmed. Sang-gu's little sister told everyone to use the basement underground. There was also a temporary shelter down there. As the group was about to move there, suddenly they heard someone crying for help. Turning around, they saw a man trapped under the rubble. A nearby monster suddenly opened its eyes. It was a level D monster. Sang-gu's father told him to think carefully. The situation wasn't right for them to rescue others. They had to go down. Sang-gu gritted his teeth and turned away. Number 3 couldn't fight anymore, and with only number 2, they couldn't save him. He wasn't a clone who could use fusion skills. If he got hurt, he'd really get hurt. The man across was crying more and more pitifully. On one side was his family constantly urging him to leave quickly. On the other side was a desperate cry for help. Sang-gu decided to go save the man. He told his family to go down, close the door carefully, and wait for him. Number 2 went with him to rescue the man, while number 3 stayed to protect the family. Sang-gu was a hunter. In this monster outbreak, hunters could only do one thing: kill monsters. Sang told number 2 to save the man while he charged forward with the baseball bat to attack the monster. Charge straight ahead. Number 2 freed the man from the rubble. He told him to hurry up and leave. The monster, insulted by being called a dog, felt offended. It growled with a red face in anger. Sang-gu told number 2 to take out his weapon. He pulled out a gem from his body. This wasn't the time to be picky. He threw the gem to number 2 and told him to eat it. Number 2 obeyed and swallowed it. Immediately, he transformed into a monster. Sang-gu asked to confirm if number 2 was still conscious. Number 2 growled and said yes. The level D monster thought Sang-gu was talking to it and looked at him with a confused gaze. Sang-gu snapped, telling it, "You're on my side." He looked back at his own body. Luckily, he was still fine, except for some stats skyrocketing. Because he was a clone, there seemed to be no side effects. Both sides charged into battle. Number 2 swung the sword he grabbed from the fish last time and cut off one of the monster's arms. It screamed in pain and got even angrier, swinging a club down at number 2. This monster was much slower than the merman, so they easily dodged its attacks. Sang-gu wielded the baseball bat and kept charging to attack. The arm that number 2 had cut off quickly regrew. It raised its hand to block Sang-gu's strike, then pushed him away. Sang-gu fell to the ground. Judging by the monster's skin, it wasn't very tough. He could easily cut it, but it healed too fast. That made dealing continuous damage impossible. Sang-gu ordered number 2 to make the monster collapse within minutes. Number 2 obeyed, cutting off the monster's leg, causing it to fall to the ground. Sang-gu took the chance to shoot 2 bullets into its eyes. The monster painfully clutched its face and screamed. Number 2 took the opportunity to repeatedly slash other parts of the monster. When its eyes recovered and it looked around, Sang-gu was already standing right in front of it. He activated the quick attack skill, swinging a baseball bat straight into its face. The monster fell and rolled unconscious on the ground. Sang-gu rubbed his hand that had just held the bat. This quick attack skill really packs a powerful punch. The aftermath was also significant. This monster seemed a bit stronger than the merman. Let's say the merman is strong because he operates in his own territory. But this monster is still pretty strong without needing any special conditions. Sang-Gu stood up, dusted off his clothes, and told number 2 to hurry into the shelter. Their family is really worried. He searched around but couldn't find his phone anywhere. It probably fell during the fight. He told number 2 to lend him his phone. Sang-Gu laughed loudly, teasing that number 2 would be thrown out of the shelter looking like that. At that moment, another group of people were being chased by monsters. Sang-Gu rubbed his beak, thinking, damn it, the monsters are still rampaging in the city. After a while, people from other groups also arrived. They gathered to take down the big dragon. Guangtae's kindness aircraft also arrived. He commanded the troops to shoot down the monsters. His subordinates reported that the big dragon was starting to leave. Guangtae ordered the troops to focus on evacuating the survivors, because many other groups were also targeting the dragon. They would waste manpower if they did the same. Letting Go, standing on the plane looking down several so-called hunters, took advantage of the chaos to drop stones into wells and rob the unfortunate victims. Letting go, he looked at them with contempt for those filthy scoundrels. Subordinates reported they found a few survivors 700 meters to the north. Told Guangtae to go check on the survivors. Guangtae activated his gear. He saw Sang-Gu's group struggling against the monster. He put on his mask and jumped down from the plane toward them. On the other side, Sang-Gu was struggling to hold on. He planned to circle back right after killing the previous monster. But too many people were being chased by monsters. He couldn't just stand by and watch. Sang-Gu shouted for the group to return to the apartment basement. The monster was also surrounding them from behind. Sang-Gu ordered number 2 to protect their rear. He would block the front. Sang-Gu was exhausted. He couldn't use the quick attack skill anymore because it drained too much energy. At that moment, a giant goose emerged from the ground. It jabbed its beak into the ground and spewed lava. The lava shot toward the people. Number 2 timely jumped out to shield them, but was severely injured in return. Sang-Gu braced his cane on the ground, struggling to stand up. Just then, another tiger appeared. The tiger swiped its claws at him. He squeezed his eyes shut, and when he opened them, a man had killed the tiger with a single slash. This man was Guangtae. He asked if everyone was okay. Meanwhile, in the shelter, Sang-Gu's younger sister Ju was arguing with number 3. She insisted on going out to rescue her brother, but number 3 said she had to prioritize the master's orders to protect the family. Sang-Gu's parents saw this and told their daughter to stop shouting. Everyone is scared. They trust Sang-Gu will come back. Going outside now is even more dangerous. If they go out now, they'll likely be a burden to Sang-Gu. So it's best not to let emotions cloud judgment. At that moment, there was a cry for help outside the door. Ju was happy. Could it be her brother? Everyone checked the camera and saw a figure outside calling for help. It might be the person Sang-Gu just saved. Ju went out to open the door. She saw someone next to him, possibly her brother. Ju entered the password. The door slowly opened. Outside the door was a dead body. Behind it were 2 monsters. One was a B-grade firefly monster that screamed and could mimic other voices. The people inside panicked and scattered when they saw the monsters. Joe froze, unable to move. Number 3 quickly rushed to shield her. He aimed straight for the bug's eyes, but this bug was a tough opponent. It pierced through number 3 and stabbed into Jiu's stomach from behind. The girl spat blood and fell down. Number 3 grabbed a gun and shot at the control panel of the gate. It detected a critical injury and initiated emergency lockdown. Number 3 used all his strength to push the bug out of the door. For the first time, Sang-Gu witnessed Guangtae, the project leader, awaken. He praised Sang-Gu for being willing to sacrifice himself to save others instead of running away. Sang-Gu was flattered by the praise, smiling so widely he couldn't close his mouth. Letting go, he recalled when he rushed down here. He saw Sang-Gu's number 2 clone taking hits for the civilians before disappearing. He was still doubtful about what that being was. Letting go asked about Sang-Gu's skills. Sang-Gu hesitated, unsure whether to tell the truth. But just as he was about to speak, the connection with number 3 suddenly vanished. Sang-Gu grabbed number 2's sword and ran desperately toward the shelter. His family was in danger. He had to go immediately. Letting Go ordered his subordinates to locate him and bring the survivors to safety. Sang-Gu ran with all his might. Under the sword's influence, his eyes glowed fiery red. He activated his sprint skill, running like never before. The group in the other area was still focusing fire to take down the giant dragon. They had tried everything from slashing to poison, but nothing could penetrate its skin. They planned to cooperate to kill the dragon, but the guild leader Hee-sung didn't think so. He came because he heard there was money here, but he wouldn't cooperate for mere scraps. Hee-sung cast a skill. He summoned a huge flame that burned everything to ashes. Meanwhile, Sangu's parents kept staunching his sister's bleeding. The two cried endlessly, only able to encourage their daughter to endure. The bug that had just killed number 3 turned back to break through the double doors. Ju weakly cried out, telling her parents to run quickly. The firefly kept nagging unpleasant words. At that moment, Sangu caught up and saw his unconscious sister lying on the ground. His anger flared fiercely, his eyes turned bloodshot. Sangu shouted and charged at the bug to attack. But the bug swiped once and Sangu spat blood, seriously injured. The firefly was unharmed and even stuck out its tongue to taunt him. Sangu became even more enraged. He bathed his sword in his own blood and continued the assault. Just as the two were about to clash, someone suddenly rushed out to stop Sangu. They pinned him to the ground. The Guangti team arrived just in time, ready to fight. The girl who stopped him hurriedly treated Sangu's wounds, but he was still dazed and wanted to continue fighting. She activated a mana transfer skill to help him calm down. Sangu cried out in pain, telling her his sister was injured on the other side and begging her to save her. Guangti switched to serious mode. He comforted Sangu, assuring him that he and his sister wouldn't die today. Then he went to fight the monster in the Hunter Guild office. The guild president recalled his previous conversation with the old man Hye-sung. The guild president planned to evacuate everyone as soon as possible to minimize losses. Hye-sung sneered in scorn. They didn't even know when the disaster would strike now. He said if the president tried to evacuate people within 3 months, everyone would blame the guild. All those who lost family or property would gather and tear the guild apart. Hye-sung began pressuring the president. He said he didn't know if the president's head would still be on his shoulders next month, let alone 3 months from now. The guild president snapped, asking what Hye-sung wanted him to do. Hye-sung told the president not to tell the people that an A-rank monster would appear, to conceal the severity of this invasion. He told the president to make the people blame themselves for not evacuating, for being too weak to protect themselves. The guild president couldn't believe it. He asked Hye-sung if he knew how many people could die because of this incident. Hye-sung, on the other hand, didn't see it as a problem. He thinks that's a good thing. The more people die, the more valued the hunters become, starting from D-rank monsters. The army couldn't do anything at all. In the end, those lowly humans could only defend themselves thanks to the hunters. Hye-sung smiled slyly. He wasn't asking the chairman to do this, he was ordering him. So now the association chairman has no choice but to turn a blind eye to all the reports. Sangu leisurely ate snacks while his clone was struggling with exercise. He lay on its back comfortably, urging it to do push-ups faster. Hurry up. This is still too slow. Sangu laughed with satisfaction. This skill is really the best. The clone earns money and trains for you at the same time. You don't have to do a damn thing and your stats still increase. You don't have to worry about anything for the rest of your life. After receiving Junmo's message, he got up and called number 1 to go make money together. Today, he took number 1 out to hunt the one-horned rabbit again. Junmo asked where number 2 was. He replied number 2 was exercising. Junmo asked why he wasn't exercising too. If you train, he thinks you'll be much stronger. Sangu laughed and avoided the question. He definitely didn't want to train. Actually, he was never serious about wanting to be a hunter. He had earned enough from catching one-horned rabbits. And nowadays there are many other hunters in the association. Missing one like him didn't matter. Junmo said he was only suggesting. He saw potential in him, but it wasn't being used. Sangu could become the best hunter. But Sangu couldn't think that far ahead. He just needed to be able to take care of himself. Suddenly, Junmo's attitude completely changed. He was no longer the Junmo from before. His eyes were empty, oozing black fluid. He slashed once, seriously injuring Sangu's hand. Somehow the atmosphere around had turned red. Sangu was surrounded by a swarm of zombies. They were his parents, blaming him and his sister, crying out continuously. Sangu screamed loudly, sitting up, gasping for breath. It turned out it was just a dream. Guangte stood by the bed, telling him he just woke up and shouldn't move too much. Sangu took a breath, hugging his arm, telling himself he was fine. Guangte let go and reminded him to be careful. He wasn't in good condition. The wound was quite deep, but still lucky. Sangu thanked Guangte for saving him not once, but twice. Guangte had something to say, but had to leave it for later. Now Sangu's parents had arrived. The two were worried sick. Seeing him awake, they were relieved and quickly asked if he was okay. The doctor reviewed the exam results and said his surgery was very successful. They would keep him for observation, but with such a fast recovery he could go home in a month. Sangu asked about the gate. It had been open for 4 days now. The big high-level monsters had been handled, but many low-level ones had escaped. Sangu felt a headache. He couldn't remember anything after fainting. Then he suddenly jolted and hurriedly asked about his sister's condition. His parents and the doctor lowered their heads silently without saying anything. They took him to see his sister. The doctor had treated her abdominal wound, but she had been infected with the Manhwa virus. Everyone was infected from the monsters that escaped through the spatial gate. It's a virus that absorbs the mana and life force of its host. In most cases, it doesn't cause serious problems. Everyone has different attributes. If the virus doesn't match the host's type, the virus dies without causing harm. But there are rare cases. The host's mana matches the virus, and the virus absorbs so much mana and life force that the host can't wake up. Sang-gu trembled and asked if there was a cure. The doctor said with current technology there isn't. The virus has synchronized with the host's mana. Even healing magic has no effect. So the only way is to supply mana and maintain nutrition. Just continue like that. There's still a very small chance, if helped by someone, an S-rank hunter with blessing magic or items like the transformed mountain camellia or divine medicine from the other side of the gate. Such things are extremely rare and expensive. Sang-gu knew that. He stared blankly through the window without saying a word. His hand gripped the ivy pole tightly. He blamed himself for not turning back to save others, for prioritizing his family first, for not being stronger. He could have saved everyone, including his little sister. Sang-gu tensed up even more. He snapped the IV pole, causing the wound on his shoulder to bleed heavily. The doctor and others hurried to stop him and tended to his wound. Sang-gu paid no attention to his own injury. Tears streamed down his face. If only he had tried a bit harder, things wouldn't have come to this. Sang-gu was taken back to the room. He sat upright on the bed. The door suddenly opened. It was Hyeon. She had heard he was hospitalized and came to visit. Sang-gu asked if her family was okay. He was worried because her home was near the danger zone, but luckily her family was fine, just some damage to the house. Hee-yoon's father had contacted Sang-gu's parents. Since they couldn't reach him, they found out he was here. Sang-gu remembered he had lost his phone. He asked Hee-yoon why she called him teacher instead of brother. Hee-yoon awkwardly corrected herself. She told him to get well soon so he could keep teaching her. Sang-gu sighed. He told her he wouldn't be teaching her anymore. 2 weeks later, Sang-gu's wounds had fully healed, surprising even the doctors. He prepared to be discharged. Sang-gu recalled the conversation he had with Hyeon the day before. He had told her everything about his current situation. He didn't know what else to say except sorry. Hyeon thanked him for everything. She realized that Sang-gu probably wouldn't contact her anymore. She forced a smile and told Sang-gu he'd regret losing such a beautiful student like her. She said she'd get into college with everything he had taught her. She said she'd find a boyfriend in college. When that happens, Sang-gu shouldn't regret it. Hyeon smiled beautifully and left. Sang-gu understood her intention, but now he no longer had time to regret. Sang-gu left the hospital. He looked up information about Gwangtae and took a taxi to the Kinos Association building. Sang-gu walked inside. The receptionist warmly asked how he could help. Sang-gu said he was there to see Chairman Park Gwangtae. He didn't have an appointment, so the receptionist couldn't let him in yet. At that moment, a tall man with a hat approached and asked if he was Sang-gu. He was a high-ranking commander of the association. He invited him upstairs. Gwangtae was waiting for him. Sang-gu was escorted to his office. He came to thank him for everything he had done for him. He felt deeply grateful because Gwangtae had rescued his family and quickly treated him in that situation. He was also curious why Gwangtae had gone so far. He heard from the hospital that Gwangtae had provided his family with private rooms, temporary housing for his parents and his sister's medical expenses. Sang-gu asked if those things were related to what he was about to hear from Gwangtae. Gwangtae clasped his hands and said he also had a little sister who was missing along with their group of friends. Maybe that was why he saw himself in Sang-gu. It was true that his emotions were in turmoil, but he wasn't doing all this so Sang-gu would feel grateful and be obligated to repay him. Sang-gu asked why Gwangtae wanted to meet him as soon as he felt better. He wanted to ask about his abilities. He asked if Sang-gu's clone could do everything, even the man who saved the others was just a clone, right? Sang-gu didn't try to hide anything. He told Gwangtae it was his skill. Gwangtae clasped his hands and got straight to the point. He needed Sang-gu's power. He begged him to rescue Kanos's first team just like he had saved the other survivors without expecting anything in return. He let go, not asking Sang-gu for help in exchange. He knew the only one with a chance to save his sister and the other first team members was Sang-gu. He let go, bowed sincerely, and begged him. Sang-gu thought for a moment. He had saved Sang-gu's family once. Now it was Sang-gu's turn to do the same. Gwangtae gratefully thanked him repeatedly. Sang-gu was taken to the Kinos Association training basement. Guang-ti said you can use your skills freely here. The interior is quite sturdy. Sang-gu finds it strange. Why not prepare and go rescue them right away? Guang-ti said there are 2 reasons to do this before going on a rescue. First, it's true that the quicker they act, the better the chances of a successful rescue. However, it's not like there isn't enough time. Thanks to Guang-ti's sister's abilities, Team 1 can hold out for quite a long time. They have at least 8 months before they can't hold on any longer. Second, because of the dungeon level. Although Team 1 is the elite team of the Kanos Guild with an overall B-rank combat ability, they suffered heavy injuries and failed to escape that dungeon. So he thinks that dungeon level must be close to A rank, and with Sang-gu's current level, he's not qualified to enter it. Sang-gu suddenly feels a chill down his spine. Guang-ti turns serious all of a sudden. He says people reveal incredible power when they are about to die. A temporary defensive power surge in critical situations is enough to tear tendons or break bones. Of course, this is directly proportional to the sudden spikes in stats. What Sang-gu lacks right now are those stats. So far, he has overcome obstacles through his combat senses, but in this training, his combat senses will reach their limit. Wang tightly grips the wooden sword and charges forward to attack. Sang-gu texts Junmo telling him not to worry about him. He asks to take a break from hunting for a while. Junmo nervously bites his nails, waiting for Sang-gu. When Sang-gu arrives, Junmo barely recognizes him. His face is beaten up like a pig's head. Sang-gu tells Junmo everything. He panics, asking if Sang-gu is okay. Sang-gu says he's still fine. Mana traits differ between people even in the same family, so he's okay. Junmo already knew Sang-gu took the mission from Kanos. He's surprised that suddenly he couldn't get in touch with Sang-gu, but didn't expect so much to happen. Sang-gu says he's using Number 2's phone. He tells Junmo to rename Number 2's contact to himself. Junmo asks if he backed up his contacts, including friends and others, but Sang-gu decides not to. He feels it might be better to leave it as is. Junmo can't understand Sang-gu's actions. He asks again about the wounds on Sang-gu's face. Sang-gu says it's from training. Junmo jumps up, unable to believe they treated Sang-gu like that. He wants to complain to the guild office about this. Sang-gu stops him. He says Guang-ti's sister is locked in the dungeon, so he's the one who has to be more reckless than anyone else. He understands that feeling. Sang-gu summons a clone, telling it to put on clothes and go attack Guang-ti again. Today he might lose, but maybe not tomorrow. The day after, Sang-gu changes tactics to take on fewer enemies at a time. He calls Number 1 and charges together. The result is both the original and the clone get beaten up badly. The next day, Sang-gu calls Number 2 to join the fight 3 against 1. Cao Chot is also crippled. The outcome for all 3 is not much different from before. Another day, he decides to call all 3 clones and himself to fight. Then all 4 drag themselves back. Sang-gu returns to where Junmo sits. At this point, he reluctantly admits Guang-ti is too strong. The clones are very good at copying movements, so it's not like he didn't learn anything, but the gap between them is too big. He needs to figure out how to close that gap. Sang-gu comes up with a new idea. He shows it to Junmo, asking, "What do you think?" Junmo worries if it's safe. Sang-gu insists it's no problem at all. The next day, Sang-gu comes again. This time, all 3 clones transform into monster forms. Last time, he asked Junmo to quickly buy a bunch of gems for the clones to bite, so their stats have skyrocketed today. Sang-gu draws his sword. He's determined to fight with all his might today. Guang-ti still allows him to use only a wooden stick to fight. The clones rushed forward. Their power was usually lower than the original, but now they were equal. The clones had grown stronger thanks to the frenzy, but one of their biggest strengths, accuracy, had sharply decreased. Sang-gu swung his sword. Guang-ti easily dodged another clone, aimed a gun at his head, and pulled the trigger, but there was no bullet, and mana bullets were useless against Guang-ti. He grabbed Sang-gu's wrist, holding the staff, delivering a painful blow. 3 other clones attacked simultaneously, but Guang-ti easily blocked them all. He held the wooden sword and advised Sang-gu to pour mana into the sword and hand blending them as if they were one. If he mastered this move, even a branch would be enough to slash monsters. Sang-gu struggled to stand. Determined not to give up, he gritted his teeth and swung his sword again, but Guang-ti easily blocked it with a slight move. He told him he had gotten stronger, but still wasn't strong enough to defeat him. Guang-ti fought one-on-one. Just a wooden sword was enough to defeat Sang-gu and the clones. At Sang-gu's level, he couldn't consider him a C-rank hunter. Sang-gu was hit so hard his nose bled. He stubbornly kept attacking despite all the clones being knocked out. He had great determination and couldn't settle for just being C-rank. Sang-gu shouted to the clones. He started teasing them to look at Guang-tae's sharp nose and chin exactly like the gem. He yelled for them to hurry up and eat the captain. They all charged again, but one by one they were knocked back by Guang-tae. Actually, Sang-gu's desire to become stronger wasn't just Guang-tae's demand. Since he opened his eyes in the hospital, he had felt something helplessness having to entrust his family's safety to others. In times of danger, he hated his own weakness, the frustration when results didn't match his efforts. He didn't want to feel that way ever again. Blood surged in Sang-gu's veins as he grabbed his sword with both hands and charged forward to attack again. He had no intention of stopping. 6 months later, at the Ga-sin-seok-dong hunting ground, a group of big bullies were picking on someone weaker. Another group fought back and left the bullies bloodied with nosebleeds. The weaker girl shouted, questioning them, "Why are you doing this? They have official permits to enter the hunting ground." The big bully snapped at her to shut up. They were members of the Silver Moon Society. Currently, their society was using this station as a hunting ground. "If you want to hunt, go somewhere else." The gatekeepers nearby saw the dispute but didn't intervene. They turned away as if they saw nothing. The leader of the Silver Moon Society squinted at the girl, then suddenly changed his mind and let them all hunt together. His subordinates kept praising him for being kind and merciful. They laughed harshly. The weaker group knew they were being played but had no choice but to endure. Suddenly, from afar, a young man wearing a hood walked straight into the hunting ground. The gatekeeper tried to stop him, his face bruised, but the hooded man didn't understand. He had paid to enter, so why wasn't he allowed in? The Silver Moon Society leader saw he seemed like an unreasonable guy. He cracked his knuckles with great momentum, without hesitation swinging to punch the hooded man's face, but before the fist could land, it was caught by the hooded man. He kicked the big guy hard in the stomach, causing him to writhe in pain and fall to the ground, clutching his belly. The hooded man realized his action was a bit too much, so he lowered his voice. "Sorry you thought that man was going to hit you, so you didn't know what else to do but defend yourself." Startled for a moment, the boy fought back. The man removed his hood, revealing himself as Sang-gu. The boy suspected. He vaguely thought there was some Silver Moon Guild or something, but he didn't care. He looked at the big guy, still red-faced and groaning in pain on the ground, then raised his foot and stomped on his head. "What the hell does it have to do with your hunting guild that I'm here in the hunting grounds?" The big guy, lying on the ground drooling, couldn't say anything but spat out 3 words, "You bastard." The whole Silver Moon Guild was furious seeing this kid dare to disrespect their guild. They surrounded Sang-gu while boasting they were D-rank hunters. "But I'm not alone here. I've got several of myself, too." Now the one surrounded is that pot-bellied guy. Meanwhile, Park Won-tae came to meet Junmo. He was there to collect comprehensive information about Sang-gu. Junmo presented it and said, "As I mentioned before, you don't need to take pictures or hand them to me." He said, "I just want to check a bit." Guanti thoughtfully read the information sheet. He couldn't believe Sang-gu's stats could increase this much in just 6 months. Junmo confirmed, "Yes, recently it feels like he has transformed into a completely different person." After that accident, Sang-gu became obsessed with hunting and experience. Junmo wondered, with these stats, will he be able to carry out the plan? That doesn't need to be said. Guanti already has a backup plan if he fails, so no need to follow him. But looking at these numbers, it's truly a terrifying growth rate. First, let's start with the rescue mission of Team 1. Guanti was extremely curious inside. Sang-gu has surpassed almost D rank near A rank. Someday he will surely reach a high level. The clone skill makes the user stronger. The stats don't even show how strong he has become. Back to the punks getting beaten to a pulp. They kept getting their ass kicked continuously, not knowing what the hell was happening right before their eyes. The gatekeeper demanded they stop thinking Sang-gu had gone too far. He stared at him. "You should say that when the hunter gets hit, not now. You didn't do anything when they pulled out their swords. I'm not blaming you, but be reasonable and go back to the gate guard." Then he ordered all clones to destroy their phones so they couldn't contact anyone. The 3 guys who overestimated themselves stood silently amid the rush of life in Ga-sin-seok-dong's hunting grounds. This uncle was seizing the moment to steal some items in the hunting grounds, holding a red stone in his hand. As soon as he held it up, it felt like an electric shock ran through his body. This difficulty made him angry, and he threw the stone far away. Hearing the noise and guessing someone was coming, he quickly ran away. Seeing Sang-gu arrive, he began to act shy and cute. "You're here. I need more time to complete Sang-gu." Suddenly, the boy realized this guy was Unicorn Rabbit hadn't met him in a long time. He wondered, "How did you get in here?" The Silver Moon Guild is definitely guarding the entrance. They moved closer and said, I was about to ask you the same question. You're not strong. This is a D-rank dungeon, so what are you doing here? Judging by his shady appearance, he didn't seem to be here for hunting. Seeing this, it seemed the Silver Moon Guild was imprisoning him here. Sangu pulled out a photo of the D-rank hunters who had just been stripped to show off, I'm not here to comfort or anything, I just want to know what's going on. Either you tell me why you're locked up here, or you'll join the Guild of Hunters wearing loincloths. The uncle struggled deeply, but finally had to admit, D-rank monsters don't always drop treasures after death. These treasures stay inside their bodies for a long time, and even after death they often fight each other in the dungeon. Sangu began imagining two monsters fighting, one losing and dropping treasure, then calling a new one to continue fighting and dropping more over and over. So the treasures pile up in the dungeon. For D-level hunters, these treasures are random items not worth picking up, so they focus on low-level hunters and lock them here until they reach the required number. The reason they ended up in this situation is because they owe the guild or were sold to the guild. Most of them are debtors or newbie hunters. If they die in the dungeon facing monsters, they're treated just like monsters that die in the dungeon. Seeing this scene before him, Sangu never expected he would witness this with his own eyes. He simply said firmly, go work for that uncle before I change my mind. Oh, how touching, so touching it almost made me cry. This kid turned out to be a good person. I thought I met a benefactor, but he actually asked for the treasure bag. What are you getting emotional about? We don't even have a good relationship, heh. This uncle has picked up a lot. Luck is on his side. You through number one eating all of number one devouring free goods is really delicious. Now they start collecting treasures, you will make good use of them. Over here, a young girl is being chased by a monster. Bet you can't catch me. If you don't, you're a puppy. This fierce monster is a C-rank abomination. She had never heard of C-rank monsters appearing here before. This girl is Kim Uhyun, a hired worker of the Silver Moon Guild. Uhyun was chased so hard she fell flat on the ground. She refused to accept that she would die in a place like this. But luck wasn't over yet when she met Sangu, who gently lifted Uhyun up and saved her life. Uhyun was too breathless to speak to the person who saved her life. And you don't have any precious gems? Why don't you collect some? Uhyun said she had long abandoned those things. Despite the monster preparing to pounce, Sangu remained calm. You threw them away. Also, did you say something about the Hyesung Guild? Did the Silver Moon Guild send you here? The white monster was suddenly consumed by a red monster. He didn't care what was happening around him. Sangu just wanted to ask what was really going on with the Hyesung Guild. Uhyun said nothing and tried to run away head first. But you better run to the skies, girl. How can you behave like that when monsters are surrounding us? Sangu just said, don't pay attention to them. There are clones behind taking care of things. Looking at the people in front of Uhyun, she couldn't help but be curious. Are they a team, or is he a summoner? Who exactly are these guys? Safe, right? Super safe. But actually, not so safe, bro. The two red monsters, Sangu's number ones, were also battered badly. They really don't look trustworthy at all. Safe my head, I can't believe number one lost after devouring such a basket of treasures. The only way to survive this situation is to run. Yet this young man remained completely calm. Wait here a bit. I've already fed them plenty of expensive stuff. Uhyun was about to speak, but was cut off by Sangu. Shut your mouth, damn it! I need to focus now. Here it comes, this monster is doomed. Sangu Lao came to deal with a bunch of monsters, then kept attacking continuously. He needed to take them down as fast as possible. Sangu attacked wildly. This power amazed Uhyun. He's too strong. Staring at the monsters made his eyes turn red, white moon shining with blood streaks. Sangu calmed himself down to stay composed. In a moment of distraction, it attacked from behind. Luckily, the clones blocked it. He turned back and sliced the disgusting monster in half with his sword. That completely destroyed it. Damn, I'll feel disgusted every time I use this sword again. After finishing, he turned back and saw Uhyun standing there with her mouth wide open in shock. You already defeated that monster? Oh, you still haven't run away? What's up, second brother? You told me not to run. Stay still, don't move. I was just hoping, not expecting you to actually do it. That's great. Forgot that number one is lying there groaning in pain. He's actually fine, real tough, but strange. He should have recovered by now. Uhyun explained that the bone sword of that monster has a curse that corrodes whoever wields it. If we don't have a healer, we're dead. The main character is really lucky. Almost got hit by one of its strikes. But in bad luck, there's worse luck. Even though they ate a gem, they only took the hits instead of dodging. Uyan looked at this red guy and didn't think he was human. She even thought he was a giant wearing a hat. After hearing Sangu say he is a summoner, Uyan struggled intensely and then decided to give him a bottle of medicine. If he drinks this, he might live a little longer. But if anything happens, don't blame me. What kind of cheap medicine is this longevity potion with a skull on it? Damn. Well, at this point, there's no other choice. You poured the medicine into number one's mouth. Number one's body gave off a weird smell. The wounds gradually healed. Sangu marveled at how effective it was. What kind of medicine is this? Number one jumped up as if nothing had happened. Sangu was relieved to see him okay. Only then did Uhyan start speaking. Only for now. It has a side effect that his vitality will gradually drain. My ability is Poison Master. Let me explain a bit about a level 5 Poison Master. Creating poisons, the number of recipes increases based on proficiency level. Each recipe can be enhanced, using poison to convert life energy to heal injured parts. The higher the proficiency, the less life energy is consumed with regenerative effects. The side effect slowly drains the user's life force, increasing strength by using poison to stimulate the body. So that means number one will eventually die after his life force runs out. Well, dying like this is still better than dying right from the start. Sangu turned to number one and said to go hunt quickly before he dies. He blinked away immediately. So Sangu had to summon him again. Uhyan finished explaining her ability. She asked Sangu to also explain his. Who are you? You have pets exactly like monsters, and each one is extremely strong. You even skewered that monster. I've never heard of anyone like you among the country's B-rank hunters. Of course not, because he's an E-rank hunter. Uhyan doesn't believe an E-rank could be in a C-rank dungeon and hunt so easily. In this dungeon, Sangu didn't answer and just cheerfully asked why she talks like we're friends. At the Yolo Guild warehouse, many treasure chests are being transported. The Han Miho Guild leader is actively collecting them. This three-headed girl is the Kim CEO Guild manager. She doesn't understand why Miho is collecting these things. Before she just did errands for Lord Wan Ti. He said he would pay a high price for them. Siona looked at the full chests, wondering why he needs so many. Does he have many pets? Miho heard rumors there's someone named Jong Sangu. He needs to use these gems. Turning back to Sangu, she saw her expression. He thought silently that this guy is sensitive about these things. What should I do now? What if he's a bad guy? Uhyan doesn't understand why he asks that. He can talk comfortably with her without any problem at all. Sangu thought this guy seemed crazy and slowly stood up. Actually, that's not the question I'm most curious about. Why did you mention the Hye-sung Guild while running away? I wanted to ask about that. Uhyan questioned, introducing herself as a hunter, but not knowing this stuff was strange. Sangu scratched his head awkwardly. Well, he only recently got his hunter license, so he didn't know much about the guild conflicts. Uhyan explained to the new hunter that the Silver Moon Guild is like a proxy for the Hye-sung Guild. They pretend to know nothing, but Silver Moon does all the dirty work for Hye-sung. I'm pretty sure many people brought here were caught because of Hye-sung. Sangu asked who caught her. Upon hearing this, a childhood memory suddenly flashed. Uhyan looked scared and said, that's information you don't need to know. Then she felt guilty for telling this guy all her skills. Sangu thought, what did this girl eat to be like this? Well, I've got the information I need, so goodbye. Goat! Aren't you done already? No, it's just beginning. Sangu said she can handle the roller coaster now. There's no one at the gate. The damn Ngunwit gang has left too. Before they left, they even complimented her skills a bit. My skills. Are you teasing me? You'll die if you drink even a little bit. But earlier, Sangu didn't care about the side effects and gave Uhyan a damn dirty business card. He said if you don't have a place to work or if you're afraid the Hye-sung group will seek revenge, just call me at the number on that card. It also has my address, and the agents here absolutely hate the Hye-sung group. I'm off now. Number 5 will escort this girl out of the gate. Sangu starts hunting monsters one by one. He thinks Uhyan's skills will be very useful for his clones. Should I try to convince her more? Number 1 was fighting fiercely when suddenly the potion backfired and he collapsed flat on the ground. This is the side effect of Sangu's drug. He thought he could endure it thanks to his regeneration skill. Well, he did pretty well. He keeps summoning. And it's that eye-painful image again. Put on some clothes and cover up the magpie, then come back and continue hunting. 10 steps forward, 10 steps back. Behind are the D-rank hunters. Has he left yet? Yeah, he's gone. They can't believe their eyes. They thought he was human. That monster is really something. Then 2 inexperienced Tran guys stood chatting. I thought he was done for, but he came back to life. That scared me too. I wonder what his skill is. Judging by how he talks, it seems there are a few others like him. Are we in danger? Damn it. If only we had equipment, then more equipment. We'd still get beaten to a pulp. The guy with parted hair wonders why they came back. Even the guys picking up gems ran off. The 3-centimeter hair guy touched the wall, searching for anything unusual. Idiot, don't you know where this is? The reason we're restricted to hunting in this area. At least we should check where this place is. Luckily, he still hasn't found this place. Behind this wall is a secret room. This place looks like a factory. I don't know what they're building here. Materials can be supplied directly from the hunting zone, and it's very unlikely anyone found this place. Who would think to investigate this hunting area anyway? These aren't opium. They're worth much more than opium. This is definitely refined gems. Their capability is 100 times better than normal gems. And just one of these will boost our stats by 0.5 points. But the side effect is turning into a monster that even the most loyal beast can't control. That's why the Hunters Union has completely banned this. The parted hair guy thinks the effect isn't worth it at all. What's the point of the stat increase if you turn into a monster? Back then, no one was willing to take that risk. That's why it was so cheap before. But recently, some things have completely changed its value. It's because of a project called GP. There's a place where they recycle this to make a product usable on people. Because of that GBP project, John's company bought gems like crazy. Because crafting this is illegal, the value skyrocketed. No one thought this junk could make money. They can make millions with this stuff. The 3-centimeter hair guy thinks a few kids would get beat down badly in a fight. But if they take this with them, it's different. He'll leave it here and come back tomorrow. The parted hair guy doesn't understand why he leaves it here instead of taking it. So are you gonna stop those bastards if they catch you holding this? Do you even have a brain? You can't even carry a little bit. Look at these two's interface. Wearing only underwear, they attract too much attention. They carefully close the secret door on this side. Uhyun witnessed everything. Finally, she found number 5 angrily shouting, "Just come back and bring it here." Number 5's fragile heart got scolded and didn't dare fight back. Quietly turned back. She decided to stay in this hunting area. Luckily, those damn Silver Moon guys led her all the way here. But I don't understand why they're so naked like that. So she successfully found the pile of crystal gems in that room. Quite a large amount. She grabbed a level 30 bag to carry them. But that pile is pretty heavy. I wonder if carrying it will attract attention. Over here, number 5 is directing everyone to quickly head to the gate. This is her chance to blend in with their group. Number 5 saw Uhyun leave safely. So the mission is complete. Damn lucky Uhyun successfully escaped through the gate with the buried crystal gems. She dashed forward, took a second to look back at the Silver Moon Guild. Damn you guys, Sangu also thought everyone had escaped and was safe. The monsters had been wiped out completely. And the important thing is the bag is full of gems. Excited, I wondered why I hadn't seen any gems around lately to buy. These things are the best. Number 1 looking at the gem bag. My stomach rumbled and my mouth watered like crazy. Should I just eat them all? Come on, dude. If you turn into a monster, everyone will be scared of you. The duplication skill is on cooldown until noon, so better wait until tomorrow. At that moment, Sangu also received a message from Kang Jun-mo asking him to come to the Kanos Guild tomorrow. They will explain this mission for the next day. The other two were dressed discreetly, but when they returned, the crystal gems were nowhere to be found. He was furious. Tomorrow is the deadline. The boss flew into a rage and grabbed the gatekeeper's neck. "You bastard, if you're getting paid to do this job, do it properly. How did you let others get in here, gatekeeper? Just bad luck. Who can stop other hunters when they buy tickets to get in?" And the ones who escaped were the ones he locked up. Hearing that, he looked stunned, put him down. Why is it those bastards just thinking of those 3 freaks makes me want to crap my pants? How can we get them back from them? Uhyun barely escaped. She still couldn't believe they had taken her to a dungeon meant for C-rank hunters. She would have died if it hadn't been for Sangu's help. At least she managed to bring back a bag of loot. The Silver Moon Guild might get suspicious if she sold them right away. So Uhyun decided to hide them temporarily until this sensitive period passes. Suddenly, Sangu's business card fell out. Remembering what he said, she was furious. He doesn't know a damn thing. That damn bastard? You think I'd show up just because you're flattering me? At Odin Tower, a rank 5 dungeon remains undiscovered. It's known that the strongest hunter of the first generation Bak Hwan found this place and challenged it, and he never returned. After that, countless hunters tried, but all failed, even just passing through the lowest floors. The only exception was the teleportation user Reggie Lucas, and that's where Kano's Guild's #1 team got trapped, including Gwenty's younger sister, who is the team captain. Odin Tower is a dungeon with a special structure. It has an entrance but no exit. The only connection to the outside world is mana. The only way to communicate with them is through telepathy skills, because the ways to escape from there are very limited. Sangu must complete the dungeon or escape using teleportation skills. That's why his duplication skill is so important. Other hunters can't escape if something goes wrong in the dungeon. That's why he needs Sangu. He wonders if there's no other way for Team 1 other than escaping by their own strength. They equipped Team 1 with a way to escape, but they still haven't gotten out. He sighed. I'll tell you a story about what happened in Odin Tower, about how everything went off track.